Indiana University Tip-Off with Bob Knight is brought to you in part by local participating Napa Auto Parts stores, by Bud Light, everything else is just a light, and by the Finish Line for the greatest selection and best prices in athletic footwear and clothing.
Season's greetings from the Assembly Hall on this basketball Saturday as we get ready for Christmas and the Hoosiers get ready for another basketball victory. Joe Smith welcoming you into the Bloomington campus. The students may be gone, but still we're expecting a crowd of 15,500 as Indiana does battle with the Morehead State Eagles. And as the graphic shows and illustrates, Bob Knight is the perfect 5 against OVC teams, having defeated Morehead State, Murray State, and also Tennessee Tech on 2 different occasions. So the record is 5-0. You might say that Morehead State is coming at a pretty good time because it really is find-out time today for the basketball Hoosiers. They have been off with final exams earlier in the week, finally returned to the hardwood Wednesday evening, so really only about 2 days of practice getting ready for this one, and of course concentration too on the University of Louisville next Tuesday before the Christmas break, and then the Hoosier Classic in Indianapolis the week after Christmas. We have lots to talk about today. We have Dan Dakich, Bob Knight, Wayne Martin, Kit Klingelhofer will be joining me briefly as we kind of size up the teams on our Hoosier capsule. We'll return to the Assembly Hall for the tip-off show for this basketball Saturday right after these messages.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
It's the worst sound you'll ever hear. Don't let it happen to you. Replace your old battery with the power from Napa. Strong enough to carry a 6-year warranty. On sale now just $49.95. Save 50% on Napa Belden battery cables, too. Don't get stuck. Get the power from Napa.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
Do you need furniture for your home? Modern Home Furniture offers you the best quality furniture at the best prices with no down payment, no payment till next year, and no extra interest charge.
Why settle for renting when you can buy for less? Our complete inventory includes furniture for every room, plus appliances, TVs, and stereo.
You'll find the furniture you want, the low prices you need, and the credit terms that make it easy. With no down payment, no payment till next year if you qualify. Modern Home Furniture in Cincinnati, Dayton, and Indianapolis.
Just when you think you've got the weather figured out, the wind picks up and changes everything. So this year, before the winds of change move in, get a tractor as changeable as the weather. A John Deere 300 or 400 series that goes from mower to snow thrower in a hurry. So get a new John Deere soon and blow out what the wind blows in.
At Healy Equipment, north of Franklin on US 31 North.
Next on the Laurel and Hardy Show, the boys have put together a collection of their favorites.
Now, why didn't we think of that before?
From the Oscar-winning music box to their hair-raising antics in bow hunts.
I'll have you thrown in jail!
So join the whole gang for a barrel of laughs on the next Laurel and Hardy Show.
Sunday at 12:30 on WTTV Channel 4, the Indiana movie station.
Well, the friendly confines of Assembly Hall, 87% down through the years, an 11-game winning streak, and Kit Klingelhofer, Morehead State comes in from the Ohio Valley Conference here as we get set for action.
Well, Joe, this will be the second trip for Morehead State into Assembly Hall, and I'm sure they're looking for better results. The last time they came in here was in 1979 after the Hoosiers had lost twice out at the Great Alaskan Shootout. Indiana came out with a purpose that day, and the final was 80-37. I'm sure Wayne Martin, this is his 9th year. He was here before. He's looking to be a competitive ball game, and they're very capable.
We ran into a big postman and a big problem last Friday night in Carolina, Wilmington. They had Rowsome, who wound up with MVP honors in the tournament. They have a nice front line to themselves in Bob McCann.
Well, Bob McCann, Joe, averages over 21 points a game. He also averages 12.5 rebounds a game and had 21 rebounds in a game against Tiffin this year. He's an active inside player, and as you mentioned, Brian Rowsome last week, 35 points against the Hoosiers. That doesn't happen very often. Of course, Rowsome went on to finish for 36 the next night and garnered tourney most valuable player honors.
Both teams have played 6 games. The Hoosiers 5-1, Morehead State 3-3. Let's look at it on paper.
Well, Joe, looking at Morehead State, as you said, they're 3-3. Their last game was a 69-66 loss to Iona in the championship game at the Manufacturers Hanover Classic. Morehead State averages almost 83 points a game, so they like to get up and down the floor with the ball. only give up almost 77 points a game. Not a particularly good shooting team. Only 45% from the field, only 67% from the free throw line. They have been a good rebounding team, though, because of McCann, out-rebounding their opponents by an average of 7 a game, and they've handled the ball fairly well, only averaging 15 turnovers a game. As I said, this is Wayne Martin's 9th year at Morehead with the record of 119 and 109.
And, of course, Bob Knight's ball club, it'll be interesting to see how the Hoosiers play today off the fact that they had exams earlier in the week.
Well, Joe, it hasn't been a tough week. We didn't practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, so first full day of practice was Wednesday. You never know how a team comes out after exams. Sometimes it makes it a little lethargic. It has been a tough week for the players, but they've had good practice the last 2 days to be ready to play.
20 minutes from tip-off, and penciled into the starting lineup, I hear, is the return of Rick Calloway.
Well, Rick has practiced full go this week. He's made good recovery. He's worked very, very hard to come back. And, you know, this adds a lot to Indiana's offense, Joe, because Rick is a very good offensive player himself, and it makes everybody has to guard somebody else a little bit differently. For example, you can't pay as much attention to Alford, or else you can't pay as much attention to inside people when Calloway is playing.
All right, so some comments as we look at today's ball game on paper, the Hoosier capsule look with Kit Klingelhofer, and now for some more insight as to what the Hoosiers must do today at both ends of the court, here's Coach Bob Knight.
A lot goes into the preparation for today's game that really doesn't have a lot to do with the basketball game itself. This is our exam week for the fall semester. What we did after our tournament was over was give the players a 3-day break from basketball. And we brought some kids in for a little bit of time here, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, to work on some individual things. But from the standpoint of team practice and team preparation, we really didn't do anything. We thought that it was far more important that they be able to spend time studying for exams and preparing for the tests that they were going to have to take. We had nothing at all on Sunday, and usually what we would do if we had a week off was maybe take Sunday off and practice Monday and Tuesday, and then not Wednesday, and practice Thursday and Friday. But here we've had practices on Wednesday and Thursday, about an hour and 20 minutes each, where we just worked on things that we do. We did not talk at all about Morehead State until yesterday, and really for one major reason. I think when you're studying for an exam in economics or psychology or whatever it might be, there isn't any sense being cluttered up, having your mind cluttered up with who's going to guard what guy and what we're going to do offensively or defensively. So we tried to work just on those things that we've been doing in our offense and our defense in the first 2 days of practice this week. Then yesterday, we spent our practice time working on preparation for Morehead State, going over what they do both offensively and defensively. And we felt that this would really be the first time that our players could really concentrate on today's ball game. Then we'll start, as soon as this ball game is over, preparing for the Louisville game on Tuesday night. And we have kind of a tight schedule in here over Christmas, one that I don't particularly like, but it was sort of necessitated by the way weekend dates fell on the calendar. We play our tournament up in Indianapolis on the 26th and 27th this year, and it's the closest to Christmas that we've ever played it. And I'd like to have a couple of more days after Christmas, like maybe we play it the 27th and 8th or 28th and 9th, and then go into the Big Ten season. So we're not really sure exactly how we're going to handle the Christmas break from the standpoint of players going home and how much time they're going to have off. We get into our Big Ten season 1 week after the conclusion of the tournament in Market Square Arena. Now, there are still some tickets available up there, so we hope you'll do all you can to support the basketball team. They have had great support thus far this year, and they always enjoy going to Market Square Arena because of the great turnouts that we've had there over the years. And we've got 3 good teams coming in. Princeton is always a very difficult team to play against, our first opponent, and Fresno State and Illinois State have both been very, very successful over the past 5 years. Back to this week a little bit. We started with another thing on Wednesday that was sort of new for us, at least for the past 3 weeks, and that was Ricky Calloway back in action. And we tried to get Ricky into the flow of things, not particularly easing him into it, but getting him into it very quickly. And we're going to start him in this afternoon's ball game. There are a couple of different theories involved here. We could say, okay, we're going to let Ricky play a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there and gradually ease him into play. Or we can say, hey, let's just get going. This is the team that we want to have, and let's get started with it. And that's the way we've chosen, or the route we've chosen to take. Ricky will be starting this afternoon's ball game along with Alford and Keith Smart and Garrett and Darrell Thomas. So that's a starting lineup that we thought we would be using very early in the season. And yet, because of the injury to Smart, the groin pull, suffered in the warm-up for the Russian game, and then Ricky's injury in the opening part of the second half of the Montana State game, that lineup has just not played together more than 3 or 4 minutes this year. And we've got excellent support for that lineup, and yet that's the lineup that I think, at least at this time, that can get us off to the best start and can sustain us through difficult times in a ball game, perhaps better than any other lineup that we have. So I'm really anxious to see how not just Ricky will play today after being out of action for 3 weeks, but how that lineup will play and how they'll work together and the things that they can create. This is something that is always of importance to us, the synchronization of any 5 players on the floor at any one time. So we're anxiously looking really at some things today that pertain, I think, to the development of our team down through the next couple of weeks right into the start of the Big Ten season. We're very pleased to have a chance to look at that lineup I mentioned just a while ago, because, as I said, we haven't seen it play except for maybe 3 or 4 minutes together in the Montana State game, and that's the most important feature for us going into today's ball game. Morehead State is a team that plays very hard. They've got an excellent inside game. The inside game is a strong point of what they do, and you're going to have to see us do a good job with that if we're going to play well in this ball game. We're coming off, I think, 6 games where we've had some good play and we've had some mediocre play. And what's important for us is to become consistent with the good play, and we want to see if that lineup can get us going in that direction here this afternoon. Now we'll pause for a moment for some words from our good friends at Adidas and Finish Line.
I've been coming to the Finish Line for quite a while to catch the latest in athletic shoes at great prices. I also come for the incredible selection of athletic clothing, warm-ups, and sweats, not to mention the bags, rackets, and court equipment. At the Finish Line, you'll always finish first. Adidas leather basketball shoes, both high top and low cut, now only $29.99. You save up to $13. Boy, it's tough to catch all the deals at the Finish Line. Give me a light. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Pitcher of light.
Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
The Clark Bobcat skid steer loader. It's the versatile friend of the contractor. A Bobcat can load a truck, break concrete, landscape, dig deep, trench fast, backfill, move pallets. A Bobcat can handle these jobs and more.
Available now at Bright Equipment in Indianapolis and High Industrial Sales, Lafayette.
Cadillac Eldorado for 1987. It takes your driving pleasure very seriously. A fuel-injected V8, a 4-wheel independent suspension, and the luxury of Cadillac comfort in the form of fine leathers with technology for today. And at your option, rich American walnut. Eldorado inspires confidence, as does its new longer warranty.
Lockhart Cadillac, 5550 North Keystone.
Back in the assembly hall, everybody, and instead of wearing his familiar number 11, he now dresses with a sharp sport coats and paisley ties. His name's Dan Dakich, now a grad assistant, one of 3 that Bob Knight uses this year. And Danny, I tell you what, I know it's a different experience having, of course, captained 2 of Bob's basketball teams, and now you're a grad assistant. Talk a little about your responsibilities so far in this your first year.
Well,
my responsibilities are basically like any other coaches during practice. I can say whatever I want to any player. I've basically been working with Ricky Callaway and Keith Smart this year. Keith had a little problem defensively the last few weeks with certain techniques, sliding, staying down in a defensive stance, so I've worked a lot with him lately on that.
And certainly you're to be commended, too, because I know you worked in the field house one night a couple of weeks ago, and he came out and really looked like the problem was solved.
Well, after the, I think it was North Carolina-Wilmington game, I took him up to the field house, and Coach Waltman and I just put him through some real simple sliding drills, and we talked to him about the importance of staying down and using his quickness to guard his man, and he came back the next night and really, you know, he thought about it and worked hard at it, and it paid off for him.
You know, Coach has always said he needs about 10 games to get a feel for a basketball club. What's the return of a guy like Callaway mean to this team, Danny?
It means a great deal. Ricky is such a good offensive player that it just forces other teams to guard different players a little softer. Like when Ricky's not in there, Steve gets guarded a lot tougher. And now with Ricky back, maybe it'll take some pressure off Steve. And also it enables Dean Garrett to get open a little bit inside because Ricky's somewhat of an inside player and is good at feeding the ball off the drive. So Ricky means a great deal to this team, you know, as quick as he is and as good a shooter.
You know, with the return now of Callaway, and of course you mentioned Keith Smart, there's another guy that's starting to emerge, Tony Freeman, giving us quickness probably we haven't had since Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, Tony's the quickest guy I've seen since I've been here. If you notice, like against, I'm drawing a blank, East Carolina, they tried to press us, and as soon as Tony got the ball, they immediately backed off. He gives us that dimension where he can get the ball up quickly, penetrate, and pass off. And again, that's going to free things like Steve for the outside jump shot and Dean Garrett inside.
You know, we go back a couple of years to the Omni in Atlanta. Michael Jordan's taken all his frustration out on these pro teams, throwing in 40 after that defensive job you did on him in his final college game.
Yeah, that stands out as a big thrill in my life. I hope Michael Jordan becomes the greatest player in the history of basketball. You know, people keep coming up to me, well, why don't the Pacers sign you to play against him? But I couldn't stop. Heck, the guys in the NBA can't stop. I got lucky one night, and I'll live with that.
Dan, you know, we had an interesting situation with Coach Harrison serving as a grad assistant and now getting a hold of a major college program. Do you have any designs on coaching collegiately or on a high school level as you look at your future?
Well, that's what I want to do. I want to coach college basketball. That's one of the reasons I came to Indiana, was because I wanted to learn under Coach Knight. I knew coming in that I really wasn't going to be a good enough athlete to be a professional basketball player, and I wanted to coach. So, you know, being with Coach Knight is about the best possible place you could be for a person my age, and that's what I want to do. I just want to coach college basketball.
Dan, the continued best of luck, and give us some more wins this year, huh?
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Danny Dakich, formerly number 11, of course, one of 3 that Bob uses on his grad assistantship program for 1986-7. We're back in the hall. We have Wayne Martin coming up to talk a little about the opponent this afternoon, the Morehead State Eagles. We're back in the Assembly Hall right after these messages.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
It's the worst sound you'll ever hear. Don't let it happen to you. Replace your old battery with the power from Napa. Strong enough to carry a 6-year warranty. On sale now, just $49.95. Save 50% on Napa belt and battery cables, too. Don't get stuck. Get the power from Napa.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
Your Olds Friends special holiday lease program can put you in an Olds for less than you ever dreamed of. Drive an exciting Olds Calais for only $199 a month, or the #1 selling Sierra for just $219 a month. We also have lease specials on 88s, 98s, and Toronados. Lease or buy, Olds proves it doesn't cost a lot to get Olds quality. Holiday lease program ends December 31st.
Old quality, feel it. Your old friend, feel it.
Every man has his own style, a reflection of his distinct personality. The Style Store for Big and Tall understands. Since 1918, we've been helping our clients express their own uniqueness. Classic styles, designer apparel, sportswear, and uncompromising attention to detail. Every man has his own special style. He deserves to look it. The Style Store for Big and Tall.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and there in the house, the kitten discovered the new Commodore's mouse. Now touch the mouse to do what you choose. The mouse makes the Commodore simpler to use. Educate. Entertain. Put thoughts together. The world's best-selling family computer just got better. So bring home the new Commodore 64 now. A Commodore Christmas to all. And to all,
You know, I can remember back in December of 1978, the only one to ever sit behind a broadcast microphone for Don Fisher on radio. We were up in Alaska at the Great Alaskan Shootout, came back 1-2, and then this man's basketball team happened to come by the Assembly Hall, Wayne Martin, the opening home game here in the hall, and it was a learning experience, I know, but you're back now, what, 9 years later with another basketball squad and ready for some action today.
Remember a lot of things about that evening, Joe. Some I'd like to forget. An experience we remember fondly is Coach Knight spending 45 minutes with our coaching staff and a half hour with our team after that game had a great impact on us recovering mentally, and certainly is something that I remember him for.
Wayne, you went out to the East Coast this past weekend to play in a tournament with Wyona and Wagner, and you had some good success, and doggone it, you nearly won the thing.
Well, we played well on the road the last 3 games, and we lost a 1-pointer at South Carolina State and 3-point in the finals of that Iona Classic, and in between we beat a team from New York. So we're playing hard all 6 games and relatively well 5 of 6, so another opportunity for us to improve this evening.
I tell you what, Hoosier fans, we watched a fine young man in the pivot, Carolina Wilmington, a Ralston boy in our Classic. You have a young man that's really playing some of his best basketball in, McCann?
Bob McCann is a great talent. He is working hard to become a great player. He's quicker. He can do a lot of things with the basketball. His defense is better. It's a banner year for him to reach a goal of playing professional basketball, and he's working hard at it.
He has shed some weight. Has that helped with his quickness and his defensive play?
Very much, and his stamina. He plays well for longer periods of time, and he concentrates a lot better.
What about your backcourt now? I know you're making one lineup change, a young man you recruited out of Louisville, and he gets his first start here today.
Well, we're very high on Tony Curry. I'm not sure that this is a great place to give him his first starting assignment, but we're going to do it, and we're going to start a new player in a senior spot, Derek Davis, a junior college player, and then we'll go with 2 fine sophomores, Bo Rivers and Jeff Griffin and McCann.
You know, they say different strokes for different folks, and that's why I like to ask the question about the three-point play to each coach that comes into the hall, because obviously for each team, it tells tale offensively and defensively. How's it work for your ball club, for or against?
It has not been a major factor, although in the Iona game it could have been. Jeff Griffin, who has been our best three-point shooter, made 2 at the end of that game and gave us a chance to win with 1 more possession of or tied up. And we have shot it less than most people in our league, but more accurately than most. So right now I don't have any conclusions other than I think it's going to change the game of basketball quite a bit.
There was an interesting article, Wayne, written earlier in the week pertaining to the Ohio Valley Conference and the three-point play, written by Stan Sutton of the Courier-Journal. He seems to think that the three-point play, once you get into conference season, will be almost tailor-made for your conference.
I think that we will usually have teams, Joe, that lack a third big man for sure, sometimes even a second big man, as you'll see with our team today. So there are a lot more players around the country 6'3" and under that can play than there are 6'8" and over that can play. So it might make some parity. I'm not sure yet.
What about today's ball game? Of course, the three-point play we talked about. Steve Alford has been quite sharp. He's shooting better from three-point range than he is from two-point range. But what about the Hoosiers collectively?
I think with Ricky Callaway, they're a great basketball team. I understand he will play today and kind of get ready for Louisville maybe Tuesday. So we're concerned with him in the lineup. They don't always have great athletes in the past few years. They always have great players because they know how to play. And with Smart becoming a much better player with experience, Alford, one of the greatest in the country, and athletes like Thomas and Garrett, it could be one of the great Indiana teams before the year's over.
Wayne, is tempo important to your ball club today in this game?
Sure. I think Indiana's crowd's difficult to take out of the game because they react a lot more intelligent than a lot of crowds in that they don't react necessarily to what Indiana does well. I think they're a motivating force here at Assembly Hall, but when we face their 5-man defense, we better not shoot it up too quick or we're in trouble.
Coach Wayne Martin in his 9th season, the Eagles 3-3, Morehead State the competition, and we'll have more on the Tip-Off Show with Bob Knight right after these messages. Well, as you can see, the interview with Wayne Martin and the fact, too, that the Big Ten has struggled this week. Only 4-4, but still 3 unbeatens with Illinois, a mighty big basketball game later today against the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Iowa's still unbeaten. Of course, Purdue is unbeaten. Last night, Ohio State won in the Gator Bowl tournament, beating Jacksonville 85-74. And Northwestern, speaking of that three-point play, won. Sean Watts threw one in at the buzzer, enabling the Wildcats to win 69-68 over Florida Southern. So that's about the story from the Assembly Hall. Don't forget our next tip-off show is a big ball game next Tuesday night as we close out pre-Christmas schedule with Denny Crum bringing in his University of Louisville Cardinals. We'll have the tip-off show on at 7 o'clock with basketball action with Chuck Marlowe and John Laskowski following at 7:30. That'll be our next tip-off show. Of course, a lot of basketball later today. As you can see, the promo for the ball game coming up next week. A lot of action. Purdue plays a little later tonight at Mackey Arena against the University of Tampa, who just lost the other night to the University of Louisville after stringing 6 victories together. So Purdue is in action. I alluded to the Illinois ball game. The Illini playing on the road down in Chapel Hill against Dean Smith. That'll be on a little later this afternoon. Iowa has the home court against Johnny Orr's ball club. Michigan's at home. Texas Christian will be entertaining Michigan State. They've had their problems this year, the Spartans, and Minnesota. They lost twice this week, including once to an OVC team, Austin Peay, earlier in the week at home. So Minnesota will be trying to right things against Detroit a little later today. So that's about the story. Indiana University 5-0 against Ohio Valley Conference teams. Morehead State into the hall with a record of 3-3. The Eagles of Wayne Martin matched up with Bob Knight's Hoosiers as we welcome the return of Rick Calloway back to the lineup. Indiana shooting for victory number 6 here this afternoon. That's the story on the tip-off show with Bob Knight. We'll see you next Tuesday night. Do enjoy your weekend. Joe Smith, so long, everybody.
Indiana University Tip-Off with Bob Knight was brought to you in part by local participating Napa Auto Parts stores and by The Finish Line for the greatest selection and best prices in athletic footwear and clothing.
She's good with animals. She's great with kids.
Can't breathe.
And she's sensational with the boss. But she's at her very best when she's in the kitchen.
Another helping of jackass cheese?
And she's the greatest little household helper since the vacuum. She's Nell Carter. Catch her out on Gimme a Break.
Weekdays at 5:30 here on WTTV Channel 4.
When you're talking low, you're talking Lou. 'Cause nobody sells video lower than Lou.
We're the Stereo Brothers, and no one can stretch your dollar farther.
No matter what they claim,
If I can't beat your best deal, no one can.
just remember the asterisk, because nobody but nobody sells for less than Highland.
Monday at 6, the adventures of a family shipwrecked on a tropical island.
We'll manage, won't we?
Only one thing brings pirates to a godforsaken place like this: treasure.
The island, Mr. Robinson.
Not until my wife is safe.
Martin Milner heads the Swiss Family Robinson, a holiday movie special, Monday on WTTV Channel 4, the Indiana movie station.
At Merchants National Bank, when you give us a plan, we'll give you a sign.
No problem.
We have your money.
Buy that equipment. You've got that loan. Let's go.
It's yours.
Do it.
Hey, let's get to work. Start stocking.
The answer is yes.
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 It's a very good sign that when it comes to money you can plan on, Merchants means business.
Yes.
See the light. See copyright. Find out what service really means. Copyright, copyright. Never don't care, we cannot falter. In the battle, we're tried and true. Indiana, we're all for you.
The skies are sunny in southern Indiana this Saturday afternoon as we await the tip-off of today's basketball game between the Hurricane Hoosiers of Indiana, 5-1 on the season, and the Morehead State Eagles, 3-3. Sunny for more than one reason. Hello, everybody. Chuck Marlowe along with John Laskowski. The brightest thing inside Assembly Hall today is the word that Rick Callaway is going to start.
Right. He's been at practice since Wednesday. The knee is not swelled up, so he'll be in a starting lineup today.
Interestingly enough, Callaway's presence on this court is more of a concern to Coach Knight from the team standpoint than it is Callaway's performance.
Well, there's two sides to look at. Number one, is he going to be the player that he was last year through improvement? But number two, how's the rest of the players going to react to him being in the lineup, because they have not played him since that first game?
We'll find that out. We'll be back with the starting lineups of today's game in just a minute.
I opened my IRA for the tax break, but now I want more. I'll only get it from a bank, and one that knows how much I need my nest egg. One that offers me a choice of IRA options to help me grow strong, and pays high interest that goes even higher as my IRA takes off. I'll only get it from American Fletcher.
AFNB, smarter IRAs for smarter people.
I transferred for the IRA Advantage.
Are you concerned about your IRA and the new tax law? Call AFNB for the answers. For example, did you know there's still time to invest in an IRA and get a $2,000 deduction for 1986? For more answers to your IRA questions, call 1-800-321-3600 to get your copy of this free brochure from AFNB. There's no obligation. AFNB wants to make the IRA Advantage work for you. That number is 1-800-321-3600. Call now.
If you just ask for a light beer,
Give me a light.
You never know what you'll get.
Dogs. No, actually, Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, ask for Bud Light.
Yours? No.
Because everything else...
Give me a light. Showtime.
It's just a light.
For everyone, there's someone who is right for you.
At Matchmaker International, we know you. We know you're today's intelligent single person who is sincere in wanting to meet other people like yourself. At Matchmaker, we know you. We know the frustrations of trying to meet through chance encounters. Our satisfaction is bringing the right people together. Call our Indianapolis or Greenwood numbers. We are Matchmaker International, and...
It's a near-capacity crowd at Assembly Hall as we await the starting lineups from Chuck Crabb.
Ladies and gentlemen, season's greetings. Indiana University welcomes you to the Assembly Hall. Let's meet this afternoon's starting lineups. For the Eagles from Morehead State University, at one forward, a 6'5" sophomore from Prospect, Kentucky, number 25, Jeff Griffin. And at the other forward, a 6'4" and 1/2" junior from Decatur, Alabama, number 30, Derek Davis. The center, a 6'9" senior from Morristown, New Jersey, number 23, Bob McCann. At one guard, a 6'1" freshman from Louisville, Kentucky, number 24, Tony Curry. At the other starting guard, a 6'3" sophomore from Haines City, Florida, number 32, Bo Rivers. The head coach for the Eagles on his 9th season, Wayne Martin. And now for the Hoosiers of Indiana. At one forward today, he's a 6'6" sophomore from Cincinnati, Ohio, number 20, Rick Callaway. At the other forward, a 6'7" senior from Westchester, Illinois, number 24, Carol Thomas. In the middle. He's a 6'10 junior from San Clemente, California. Number 22, Dean Gallup. At one guard, a 6'2 senior from Newcastle, Indiana. Number 12, Steve Alford. And the other starting guard, a 6'1 junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Number 23, Pete Smart. The head coach for the Hoosiers, now in his 16th season in Bloomington, Bob Knight.
Indiana University Press, the direction of Professor Stephen W. Pratt, and featuring vocalist Professor Royce Eccleston. Ladies and gentlemen,
our national anthem.
The officials for today's game are all from the Big Ten. Gary Muncie, Ted Valentine, and Mike Stockner. You see them there. Muncie talking with Coach Knight on the left-hand side of your picture. Interestingly, now the big question will be just how long will Rick Callaway be in that Indiana lineup? And I talked to Coach Knight before the game. He said they're going to just take it on an observation basis, watch him from minute to minute, and if he begins to tire a little bit, they're going to take him out. Apparently, right now, Laz, the biggest concern that they have is his stamina, not necessarily his knee.
Right, that's going to be the big thing. How long can he go? And you saw the bandage he had on it. It doesn't really look like one of those heavy metal braces that you see a lot of players with torn cartilage wear. It looks more like a protective wrap, maybe keep that joint warm.
But there is a brace.
But he does have a brace on, yes. Not a real heavy one. There's the lineup. So watch McCann in the center. He's 6'9", 245. He's to this team as Rowson was to UNC Wilmington. Remember, he went for 35 points against Indiana in the Classic. So they look to go to him quite a bit. He's jumping center, number 23.
Eagles make one change as they control the tip. Derek Davis had not been listed as a starter. He is a junior from Decatur, Alabama. Wears number 30, and we'll watch him. He's a big, strong boy underneath, 6'4". Eagles with good ball motion. They come into this game knowing to move the ball. Wayne Martin plays a motion type offense. And they go right into McCann, work it back out again. This is Griffin, number 25, a sophomore. And 30 is Davis. Indiana with some good defense in the early going of this game. Inside, they like to try to punch the ball in as much as they can to McCann. He leads them in virtually all departments, scoring and rebounding. There's the first turnover.
I think you also see Morehead State be very patient, Chuck. They don't want to come in here and get down 6 or 10 to nothing and be totally out of the game. So they're going to be very patient each time they have the ball. So expect a low-scoring game today.
Coach Knight had commented many times he wants to see just how well the team works together with Callaway back in there. There's Callaway's first shot taken by Indiana off the rim. And it's rebounded out quickly and up off the glass and bounces twice off the rim with Derek Davis getting the rebound. And the first foul of the game goes against Indiana.
Not very patient that time as Morehead State came right down and took the first shot, but it did create some offense for him on the foul.
Keith Smart, with his first foul, will send Davis to the line. Now, Davis is not an exceptional shooter from the stripe, 50%. A good look at Keith Smart, junior college transfer. Crowd exceptionally quiet right now. Of course, they really don't have anything to cheer for. I guess it's just a silent moment here at Assembly Hall. But it is near capacity, over 16,000 today. Free throw, as we had mentioned by Davis, he is only 50%. Averages 1.8 rebounds per game, but I'm sure that Martin has him in there because of his size. He's a big, strong boy. Misses the second shot, and Garrett clears for Indiana as Smart comes back for the pass, and now Indiana moves up into its offense. Down to Garrett, and out to Alford.
Man-to-man defense right now, although they will switch into a zone.
Smart shot is long, and there's Davis again for a board.
Indiana quick on that shot.
And the Eagles bring it up. It's stolen. Here comes Keith. Keith has Thomas behind him. Lays it up. Misses the shot. And a crash to the board by the Eagles. Number 23, Bob McCann, is going to result in the first foul against Morehead State.
I think Keith looked like he was going to pass that ball at the last second, but then decided to go ahead and take the shot. Now watch how he comes up with it. Look how quick he gets down. Now it's 2-on-1 with Daryl Thomas to his left, and now he's going to pass, but then he decides not to and missed the shot. Morehead with the foul.
Alford with the first basket of the game in its three-point range. Steve Alford, and makes it 3-0 Indiana. And we'll make some comparisons of his shooting percentages through 6 games last year and 6 games this year a little bit later on. He's under his percentage by about 7 from the field and almost as many from the line. Morehead State taking it right in. Lost out of bounds, deflected by Indiana. As Bull Rivers made a crash on the left side.
Looked like if he'd have held on to that ball, it'd have been a charging call against Morehead State. Daryl Thomas was in good position.
Bull Rivers, a good stocky 6'3", number 32. And there's a little shuffle of feet by McCann. McCann can play outside as well as underneath the basket. He's 6'9", a senior, but he puts the ball on the court pretty well. However, turns it over this time. 17:40 remaining. Let's look at the turnovers, and there they are. Indiana so far with a clear slate. Garrett looks underneath and then back out to Alford. Here's Thomas on the post. And an easy two after Thomas makes a good strong move to the outside.
Good quick passing that time as Alford got to Smart, right into Garrett, and then on down to Thomas. And that's very tough for the defense to catch up when you make that crisp pass.
Curry, number 24, McCann, left hands it up from outside. Thomas there to pull off the short shot. Alford. That won't fall. No foul. Tony Curry, 6'1" freshman from Louisville, averages 36 points from the field. 1 for 4 from three-point range. And he works over Alford, blocked away. Here's Thomas, out to Steve. Slam dunk, and the crowd comes up as Rick Calloway gets his first basket since the Montana State game, and we have timeout. Wayne Martin wants to talk it over as we tell you you're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana 7, Morehead State nothing.
We used to have a different insurance company for all our insurance policies.
But when something went wrong, we were never sure who to call.
So we got Farm Bureau Insurance to insure everything.
It's a lot easier.
It's more convenient.
And there's no confusion.
We got one company, one agent.
And only one phone number to remember.
You might say Farm Bureau's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. Just like you.
Oh, no.
Looks nice.
You're shaving with coal.
Coal? I'm shaving with my electric razor.
And it takes coal to produce that electricity.
Never thought of it like that.
Coal generates more than half the electricity in the United States. It takes coal to fix your breakfast, tune in, and turn on. In fact, on the average, every American uses 3 tons of coal each year. Amex Coal Company, powering your world.
Let's watch how that last basket by Callaway materialized, Laz.
There's the block, and now Callaway's right at the other end. Now this is how to handle it. Watch how Steve draws the defense toward him, and then Callaway's wide open, and looks like he's not having too much trouble with that knee, Chuck. He got up pretty high on that stuff shot.
There's the shooting percentage, and obviously Morehead State 0 for 6 already, but Indiana 43%. Talking to Tim Garl before the game started, he says the entire team is really amazed that there has been no swelling in that knee whatsoever.
No, it's great to see, because of course when he went down, you remember how quiet it was here. And as I mentioned, Chuck, this is exactly what Morehead State did not want to happen. 7-0. The coach had to call a very quick timeout to try to keep the game under control.
Michael Mason in at that last timeout, number 14 for Morehead State. 25 is Griffin, off the right side, and 3 points, ripping nothing but net. Talbert Turner also in at the break. So suddenly it's a 7-3 game as Turner connects from three-point range. Lays it off to Garrett underneath, and a foul. Quick play by Rick Callaway, and I think, John, this is one of the things you alluded to in a couple of our earlier telecasts, was the presence of Callaway out there sort of excites others to perform better too.
It does. He's smart now with the pass inside. Rick goes right into Dean. See how much taller Garrett is inside. Didn't really have to jump to outstretch the arms of the Morehead State players.
The foul, first foul. Foul on Bull Rivers, his second against State. Garrett's been working very hard on his free throw shooting. Remember, he showed some signs of erratic tosses in a couple of earlier games, and I was down a couple of times this week, and he was just spending minute after minute at the line. It's 9-3 Indiana by 6. State again displaying some patience underneath, and we have a blocking foul called against Bull Rivers, the 6'3 sophomore from Haines City, Florida. His second.
It's 4 turnovers now for Morehead State. Doesn't seeming to go right for him at this point.
We're at Assembly Hall. If you just joined us, Indiana with a 9-3 lead and possession of the ball as Alford sends 3 more on its way, but that shot was short. And McCann pulls down the board. He averages 12.5 boards a game. Turner out to Griffin. And there's Callaway stepping up. 2-on-1. Keith Smart almost lost it, regained control, and laid it in.
See, Rick Callaway did the same thing there, Chuck. He took control of the ball till the defense came to him and then dumped the pass off. So that's twice now Indiana's done the right thing. He's already got 1 steal, 1 assist, and 1 block shot.
And McCann lost it out of bounds. They call a foul against Indiana, however. And that's going to go against Callaway, his first. Second foul against Indiana.
Steve offered some credit on the defense on that last steal, Chuck, as he pressured his man, forced him to come back the other way, and that's when Rick Callaway was able to sneak up from behind. So it looks like Steve's trying to do a little better job pressuring his man.
Bob McCann, 56% from the stripe on the season, averaging 17 points per game, his high for the season 23.
He's really well put together. Looks like a football player. Seems to have real long legs and kind of a shorter upper body, but just a stocky player. Takes up a lot of room inside.
The 11-4 the score. Inside to Thomas. Reverse layup. So Darrell showing some aggressiveness as he takes the feed from on top, and Indiana leads 13-4. And on the line, another turnover. Very costly little mistakes by Morehead State in the early going.
6 turnovers now already, and that pass on top was from Callaway, Chuck. So you can see how many times his name has been mentioned already. Not just in scoring, but the other things he's able to do to help the team.
Pate Clements, number 22, back in the lineup for Morehead State.
Here's a zone now. Looks like a 1-3-1.
Off to Garrett, just a soft play over the top from Keith Smart. Smart with the assist, Garrett with the 2. And Garrett has 4 already. Now Griffin. And another turnover. These are the frustrations that Wayne Martin has to be going through right now as he looks down at his bench, and we have 2 more substitutions. 24 Curry is back in along with Derek Davis, and Pate Clements, and Michael Mason will sit down.
He does like to use a lot of players and has gone to his bench 8 or 9 deep, but today nothing seems to be working.
15 for Indiana. Callaway, top of the key. Misses that shot, tipped up. McCann pulls down the rebound. Morehead State converts the ball pretty rapidly. A foul underneath is going to be against Garrett as he and McCann battle for that post position.
I expect that to be a battle most of the day, Chuck. Morehead, the Eagles want to go inside, right to McCann, and Garrett's going to draw that job again, trying to prevent that ball inside.
The 3rd foul against Indiana, and under the common foul situations, he inbounds to Turner. Underneath, deflected, picked up by Callaway, and it's tipped out of bounds. So Indiana had a conversion of its own going there, only to find some good defense and good hands by the Eagles break that up.
Much better play overall, though, Chuck. Remember in the earlier games, Indiana they'd have the 7 or 8 turnovers early. A lot of frustration on offense. Still no turnovers. Making some good plays, getting some easy shots.
Thomas leans in over Darris, and Davis misses the shot. Davis controls the loose ball. Turner, 2-point range. That doesn't fall. And Alford, as he goes for the basket, for the ball, off the basket, is fouled by Griffin.
There's how important that block out is. Steve's not going to jump higher than a lot of players. He kept good position and forced contact from behind him and came up with the foul. Here's a 3-point shot. Neither team taking a lot so far.
Well, that was one that, again, went off the front of the rim. So Steve just a little bit short from that distance today. Outside, and another short one by Griffin. And Callaway shrugs off the defense, and then up court to Alford. Garrett. It was a little taller player might have had that pass. Thomas. Garrett wants to go to the basket. Doesn't get it. Smart. Look how high he goes. He's smart. Just went over the defense to get that loose ball and put it back in.
See, that's one thing that Indiana can use Keith with, is he's got a smaller man on him. Switch him down to a forward position. Try to get the ball to him. If not, let him get in there for the rebounding situation. He just went right over the top that time, had an easy conversion layup.
Davis. McCann. Griffin. Here's steal. Callaway's quick hands almost flipped that ball away from Curry. And a little shuffle step again. We have substitutions now and a timeout. It's going to be number 32 Rivers for Morehead State and Magnus Pelkowski for Indiana. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana leads the Eagles 17-4.
A simple shopping trip without Ameritech Pages Plus could be an unforgettable experience. You could end up going in circles or going no place fast and getting there too late, going down one blind alley after another. Why go through that when you can go through the complete shopping guide? Before you leave, Ameritech Pages Plus. Next to the phone, there's nothing better.
Boys, ladies, hungry out. I could eat a cow, no doubt. But it seems that no one cares. The doors are locked, no one's about. All I wish before my eyes, a sandwich and some French fries. Breakfast, dinner, maybe lunch. Empty stomach, my mouth is dry. I wonder why. I wish I knew why places close up when they do. If a restaurant really loved you, it wouldn't close.
Morehead State coming into today's game with a 3-3 record. They won at Tiffin and won over Tennessee Wesleyan. They lost to Western Illinois and at South Carolina State. They defeated Wagner in the Iona Classic and lost to Iona in the championship game 69-66. They're hitting 1 of 7. That interesting stat explains the game itself.
Indiana's 7 of 16. But Morehead State looks a little nervous. A lot of the turnovers on foot shuffles, on the traveling. There's a call that's going to go against the Eagles.
Tony Curry's first.
Here's a good look at Wayne Martin. Wayne's son is about 13 years old. He's here today, and he's been to Coach Knight's camp in the summertime now, 3 or 4 summers. Enjoys coming back. So, again, you can see part of the relationship that Coach has with a lot of different college coaches in America.
Pelkowski over the back has committed a rebounding foul. Derek Davis with some good inside position, and Magnus draws his first foul. Morehead State returns home to face West Virginia Tech on Monday night. Indiana's next game is next Tuesday night, right here at Assembly Hall, facing Louisville. 11:35 remaining in this first half of play. 17-4 Indiana as Derek Davis moves inside the free throw line and scores. Davis's first basket. That makes it 17-6 as we near the 11-minute mark. Steve Isle for Indiana at that last time out. And a loose ball, and Isle gets it right back. And then promptly throws it right into Davis's hands. Basket won't fall, but a foul against Pelkowski. That's going to send Bob McCann to the line.
Yeah, both teams a little loose on that exchange as Isle makes a great play to come up with a big steal. Just doesn't lead the, did make a real smart pass. If anything, he had to throw it up higher toward the rim. And then Magnus makes the contact at the other end when the Morehead State player still had the ball. There's McCann at the line. Big left-handed kid.
He only has 2 points. He is 1 for 2.
He looks like the kind of guy that may not be quite good enough to go into the NBA, but if some NFL team out there has seen this kid play, may sign him as a free agent and give him a chance because he's really built strong.
1 for 2 the first time, and hits both these this time. So he is loose ball, pulled away.
He's really putting a lot of pressure. You saw him in the backcourt there, and then quickly comes down. He makes the right play, trying to slap from behind. Good camera angle here. You see he gets by. Now watch him reach with the right hand. That's the correct hand, but I'll tell you, the offense did a good job there protecting the ball, and that helped cause that foul.
Smart's second foul. And Derek Davis with his second field goal. So the Eagles fighting back. They pulled it within 7. It was 17-4 at one time.
6 straight points.
Under to Thomas. And Smart from the line. Loop ball. Thomas with a long outreach and pulls down. I don't think that ball was going in, but McCann deflected it, and they'll give the basket to Darrell.
Wayne Martin shook his head like he thought it was. That's the Eagles coach. Let's watch. The ball just gets out of the picture there. Here's a better look. Yeah, that's coming down.
Yeah, might have, yeah.
He's really getting up there, too. McCann can leap.
That ball might have gone, too. You see it at a better angle on our cameras. 19-10 Indiana with 10 minutes left in the first half. Indiana versus Morehead State Eagles. Derek Davis to Bob McCann. Wheels in, shoots over Isle and scores.
Well, you can see the Eagles are getting a little more relaxed now. 19-12, they've cut the lead to 7 points. Just 9 minutes and 35 seconds left in the half.
Alford had the Pelkowski screen. He started to drive, recognized it was there, and just pulled up and took the shot. That's only the second field goal by Steve, but he has 5 points, the first being the three-pointer. Tony Curry rubs Alford off, but Steve makes the adjustment outside by Davis in the deep bound. Lets the Eagles maintain control of the ball. Shot is no good, kicked, and it's going to be Indiana's ball.
Had a switch that time between Magnus and Steve and really created some problems. There you see Coach Knight's record at Indiana, just 116 losses.
Alford, three-point range, back to Pelkowski, top of the key. He loves to shoot from there and highly effective, but this one doesn't drop. Now McCann out high. Pelkowski, look at the room Pelkowski gives him. Out of bounds, Indiana. Last touch by Bo Rivers. Right now, both teams having a little bit of difficulty trying to get offenses in motion, as we see Jeff Griffin back in for the Eagles, and he'll replace Talbert Turner. Turner's only 5'10" junior from Peach Grove, Kentucky. 21-12 Indiana. Under to Alford, up off the glass, doesn't fall. Out of bounds, Indiana's ball. Off, I believe, the head or the arm of Tony Curry.
Here's the rebounds. Morehead State with the lead. Indiana will get that ball out of bounds.
Hoosiers hit a slight drought here from the field. Alford. And that's good. Three more. Steve Alford with 2 3-point efforts. Actually, on the season, he is shooting better from 3-point range than he is from 2-point range.
Yeah, he seems to have a better setup from the 3-point lane. He's a little more wide open. You saw the shot he took previously. He was on the run, had to take a bank shot, which missed.
Davis doesn't fall. Isle with a big grab off that board. Alford. Smart. Reverse layup. Keith again lost the handle on the ball, grabbed it just in time to avoid taking steps and laid it in.
Well, Steve made a real crisp pass that time and not a lot of distance to travel on that pass, so Keith did a good job, had to shoot that reverse layup.
Ticking down to the 7.5-minute mark as Bob McCann is doubled and puts it up, and he's fouled, and that's going to be the third foul on Magnus Pelkowski. The junior, by class from Bogota, Colombia, has picked up 3 quick ones as Indiana will make 3 substitutions. Garrett, Joe Hillman, and Rick Callaway back in for Indiana.
Called him on the body right there as Alford comes to help. There'll be some substitutions now for Indiana.
Smart sits down, as does Thomas and Pelkowski. Back in for the Eagles, Michael Mason. He replaces Davis. 26-12, Indiana's lead, 14 with 7:31 left in the first half. McCann's second miss. He missed his first opportunity, then hit the second, then hit the last 2 in a row, and now he has missed again. Hits this one, however, for his 6th point, and we have timeout. You are watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. The score, Indiana 26, Morehead State 13.
I really like living in Indiana. I like the weather, the people. It's home. And I like doing business at home. That's why I've got Farm Bureau Auto Insurance. I get good coverage, fast claim service, and I'm even saving a few dollars. Yes, sir, it makes me feel real good knowing the money I'm spending for the things I need is staying right here at home.
We'd like to see you smile. We never stop trying to show you we care. When you need us, we'll be there. Hooks likes to see you smile.
Nothing's more important to Hooks than your family's good health. That's why our pharmacists in green take their time to keep up with the latest developments in medicine.
We like to see you smile.
Here's a chance again, John, to look at the replay on that Alford to Smart pass.
He loses control of it, but yet has the sense to Go right underneath with it, boy, and Wayne Martin wanted to travel there. You can see on the bottom of your screen, but he's got some great quickness and moves, which you just saw there.
Last time these two teams met was back in 1978. Indiana won that contest by a sizable margin. So this is only the second time these two teams have met. Hillman handling the ball and comes across to Alford, steps inside the three-point range, doesn't shoot. Morehead State picked up the intensity of its defense just a little bit. That's going to be a two-point goaltending call against McCann again, as Garrett gets credit for this basket. He now has 6.
Here's the zone again, but they're leaving a 6'5" guy, Martin, on Dean Garrett's size at 6'10", so a high lob pass was able to get an easy shot. And here's a look at the field goals. Indiana slipped a little bit now, 12 of 26 at 46%.
Morehead State working the ball around as we're inside the 7-minute mark. McCann right to the basket and scores. Very strong move by Bob McCann. He has 8 points.
Now you can see he's a lot more aggressive. This is the kind of player that he is. He's just a little nervous the first couple times down the floor.
Callaway into the free throw line, off the front of the rim, and a foul as Garrett comes over the back of Michael Mason for his second personal.
See, Callaway's been short on his jump shots today, Chuck, and that's probably part of the conditioning. Just not really got his stamina or his legs ready to play yet. The ball's hitting the front of the rim, and then Dean Garrett just out of position that time, drawing the foul.
Indiana's over the limit, so that puts the Eagles at the line, one on the bonus, and that would be one thing that Coach Knight might talk about at halftime, just a little bit too careless in fouling, because the Hoosiers now with 6.5 minutes left on the clock can ill afford, even against Morehead State, to give up any points at all when the clock is not running. Second shot is not good. Mason 1 for 2. Joe Hillman, Glendale, California, Alford 3 on the way. It's good.
See, Indiana's moved Callaway now to the point guard, which is really the guy who sets the players up to his right or left. They put Hillman on the right, Alford on the left. So as he comes down, fakes one way, a quick pass will give that three-point shot chance, and that's the guy you wanted, Steve Alford.
There's McCann again and draws the foul. He'll go to the line. It's on Alford, or on Isle rather.
You can see they'll try to go to him every time down the floor. That's the last 2 times in a row. Squares up to the basket, and that's when they can be dangerous. Isle comes to try to help. A little double pump move here. Garrett may have easily been called for a foul there also.
Derek Davis back in for Morehead State, replacing Bo Rivers. Bob McCann, 8 points already. He spent a lot of time here at the line. Hits this one. Says most thrilling moment of his basketball career was getting to play against Wayman Tisdale for the first time. Here's Isle coming out as Darrell Thomas checks back in. McCann from Morristown, New Jersey, and the second doesn't fall, and Garrett times it well. 5:59, 31-17's the score from Assembly Hall. Morehead State's Eagles and Indiana. And once again, Indiana's shots coming short. And that is not short as Michael Mason rips the nets for his first field goal. He has 3. 31-19. Hoosier lead is a dozen. Callaway rather tries to muscle in, has no room to go. Hillman turns around and shoots. They've been working all week trying to get Joe to loosen up a little bit from the side and take the shots when he has them last.
And he did that time as he fought for the ball, found himself wide open, and simply put it up. We saw him pass that shot 2 or 3 games ago, and that's not right. He should take it when he's open.
Curry with Hillman on him. Has it knocked away. Hillman with the steal to Alford. Bounces underneath, intended for Garrett, but we have a shoulder foul, blocking foul called against Michael Mason as he and Callaway ran into each other.
Indiana on defense again. Darrell Thomas comes right over with the slap. Hillman picks it up, but the Eagles are back pretty good shape. Callaway speeds down the floor, and the Eagles come up with the foul.
Talbert Turner back in for the Eagles, and a near steal. Hillman comes up, recovers underneath to Garrett, and a little soft shot from about 8 feet rolls through.
There's the turnovers, 12-2. Very good for Indiana now. Just 4:45 left in the half.
Griffin doubled down to Turner. Hillman brings it out of traffic up to Alford. Oh, underneath. Rick Callaway was wide open, and Steve sawing the pass just a little bit too hard. That was a rifle shot. Let's take a look.
Need to throw it that hard. That's right. Watch how he winds up here. Boom. It's just too quick a pass, and even though it was right to Rick, he just couldn't come up with it.
Tony Freeman replaces Alford for Indiana. Steve sits down with only 11 points, 3 of those from three-point range. I say only 11.
Easy for you to say. He makes it look easy, Chuck,
Sure
but I
does.
tell you, it's tough to get 11.
Garrett with a hand on the back of Bob McCann, and that'll send the 6'9" senior back to the line again as Garrett picks up his 3rd foul. That's a costly foul with 4:12 remaining.
That's 2 big players now, both Garrett and Pelkowski, with 3 personal fouls, so neither one will see action here in the next 4:12. That brings Brian Sloan in to replace Garrett.
Brian Sloan, 6'8" junior from McLeansboro, Illinois, redshirted last year, has added a lot of body weight and upper body strength. Talking to him the other night, about 15 pounds. Now 1 and 1 won't fall, and Darrell Thomas is up high to pick that one off.
Tony Freeman, number 10, also in the lineup for Indiana.
Freeman's, even in private conversation with Bob Knight, he says that he even excites the bench to watch him play. 3-pointer by Hillman. Nope, it won't fall. Freeman tries to chase it down. And Callaway makes the save for Indiana.
This 2-3 zone now by Morehead.
And a foul. Now they call travel against Darrell Thomas. Thomas trying to pivot away from the defense underneath, and is called for the turnover. That's 3rd by Indiana. We have 3:37 remaining to be played. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. First half score, Indiana 35, Morehead State 19.
Coach, I bet the real trick during a game is to foul as little as possible.
Yeah, you really can't have them shooting a lot from here.
Sage advice.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Well, I try to give a lot of tips to our customers, like when I tell folks about this 8mm high-resolution Sony camcorder with ready focus. It's now only $769, a $330 savings on Sony at H.H. Gregg.
Sage advice.
You really think so?
Beckley, you're an appliance oracle.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
It's the worst sound you'll ever hear. Don't let it happen to you. Replace your old battery with the power from Napa. Strong enough to carry a 6-year warranty. On sale now, just $49.95. Save 50% on Napa Belden battery cables, too. Don't get stuck. Get the power from Napa.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
If you just joined us, we are at Assembly Hall in Bloomington with the scores 35-19. Indiana with the lead. Montana State, Notre Dame, Kentucky were the first 3 victims of Indiana. Then the Hoosiers fell to Vanderbilt 79-75 at Nashville. They came back in the Indiana Classic to defeat North Carolina, Wilmington, and East Carolina for their record of 5-1.
See the free throws. Morehead State 6 out of 13. So again, another team not shooting well from the free throw line against Indiana.
And a costly turnover by Morehead State. You just rule out a third of those, and they could be into this game.
And I can see they're a little bit nervous. I'm sure this is a lot more people than they've ever played for before. And of course, coming in to play Indiana, you know, you play a team like Vanderbilt at home, and they're nervous also, but their crowd kind of gets behind them, gets them going, and you can see what can happen. But on the road, it's just a little bit tougher for an opponent, especially to come in Indiana.
Cree Smith, again at that last timeout, feed inside on the post, and the shot won't go. Callaway's right there to follow, puts it up, muscles it over the rim, and he's fouled.
Good rebound effort. He's going against their biggest and strongest player. Watch Ricky. Comes over a man to get his rebound and then goes up against McCann with the shot. So looks like he's back in pretty good form. As you mentioned, Chuck, he builds his stamina back up here in the next 2 weeks. Should be ready right when the Big Ten season starts.
Callaway has 5 with that three-point effort. The second foul against Bob McCann. Both teams are over the limit now. Griffin, Morehead State takes it to the right side. They go right to McCann, and underneath, the whistle stops the action. We have a blocking foul. We'll go, or is it a 3-second violation? Didn't see any clear-cut call on that, although it may have been given by the down official. Another turnover, however, thrown away by Indiana out of bounds. So there's a hookup between Freeman and Thomas that didn't gel. There are the turnovers, 14-5. Morehead State really getting off to a bad start here in the first half. Griffin. Mason shoot from out there if he wants to, and as McCann turns back to the basket, he's fouled by Thomas. That's the first on Darrell. But Indiana is not in really too good a shape foul-wise, as you pointed out, John. Dean Garrett and Magnus Pelkowski each with 3. Keith Smart has 2. Callaway and Thomas with just 1 each. So I guess maybe it's not as bad as it looks, but one more foul in the remaining 2 minutes and 27 seconds to a key player, and the Hoosiers could have to adjust a little bit.
Well, and you know who they're going to go to, McCann inside, so that very well could happen. Another thing, Chuck, I think Rick Callaway is the only player for Indiana who has played the whole first half. I think part of that reason is simply to help him build that game stamina, so they wouldn't take him out unless he said he wanted to come out. Every other player has been out of the lineup.
McCann is 7 for 9 from the line. Off to Freeman. Oh, look at that little back behind the pass to Darrell Thomas for his 4th field goal.
Pretty fancy in there, nearly overpassing, but Indiana was able to come up. Looked like Brian Sloan could have easily taken that layup, but boy, it turned out well.
McCann and Sloan has a task. And McCann will fire over the shorter Sloan. McCann at 6'9" with good leaping ability for 13 points. Brian Sloan 6'8".
See, this reminds you of what Ralston did to Indiana. Just got the ball every time and looked to score.
Drops it off to Thomas, and it won't fall. Indiana doesn't have anybody back on the boards except Brian Sloan, and he was on the help side. And there's 2 from Michael Mason. Mason has 5, and as you indicated, John, the Eagles beginning to loosen up a little bit. 40-25, they still trail by 15, but we have a minute 20 remaining. And the lob inside to Thomas. That was a cute little lob that almost backfired. Good feet underneath. And Darrell Thomas has 10.
Well, the weakest place on that zone defense is right there at the free throw line. If you get a player in the middle with the ball, there's a lot of things he can do. Go inside or out, and that time he threw the high lob pass inside.
Griffin. Right back to McCann. And there it is again. McCann steps in, puts it up. It won't fall. That could have dropped. And the foul will go against Sloan, his first.
Personal foul, Indiana, number 45, Brian Sloan, is first.
43 seconds left in the first half. 42-25, Indiana. As Morehead State tries to whittle back into the game, and they're doing it by benefit of these dead ball opportunities. And this free throw, that's only the 3rd by McCann.
Here's that lob. Darrell Thomas with a real tough shot there. Swung his arm right under the backside of the basket. Was able to make it.
Misses both. Tipped up. And now Freeman, shortest player on the floor, comes out with the ball. And almost gets steamrolled by about 3 players.
Good play. Decides to hold it up. There's only 30 seconds left in the half. And could have gone in for a quick shot, but yet would have given the ball right back even if Indiana made it. So he pulls it back out and waits for one shot. Good smart play by the freshman.
18 seconds. Morehead State's not going to come out. They're staying back in the zone. Callaway, top of the key. 5 seconds. And he's on the line. So Freeman, as he attempted to get down into a better shooting position, tried to wheel around Jeff Griffin and stepped on the line. Substitutions. 24 back in Tony Curry. And 22 Pate Clements as the last shot taken by Morehead State goes high off the top of the board, and both teams now adjourn to the dressing rooms for a little bit of halftime coaching. So we've come to the end of the first half here at Assembly Hall with the score Indiana 42, Morehead State 25. We'll be back to check individual scoring in just a minute.
We like to see you smile, that feeling, good feeling, that smile on your face.
You're right, kid. I may be new at this, but I'm catching on fast. And when I don't know the answers, I just ask someone who does.
Nothing's more important than your good health. So don't hesitate to ask Hooks for answers to your health care questions. We're here to help.
We like to see you smile.
It takes a lot of coal to run this company.
Coal? This is an office, not a factory. All our machines are electric.
And it takes coal to produce that electricity.
Never thought of it like that.
Coal generates more than half the electricity in the United States. It takes coal to make your computer compute, the typewriter type. In fact, on the average, every American uses 3 tons of coal each year. Amex Coal Company, powering your world.
It's happening this week at Budget Car Sales. $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance.
By popular demand, $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance. Choose from a tremendous selection of low-mileage 86 and 85 model cars. Budget offers extended protection plans on most cars and has immediate financing available. Plus, for a limited time, $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance.
Budget Car Sales, where your old car is worth a minimum of $3,000.
Sunday at 2, it's a little Yuletide magic when 3 different people all rent their holiday costumes from one very special person.
A costume won't change a good person into a bad person, or a bad person into a good person.
Sir, you're an incredibly profound philosopher.
I'm waiting for Santa Claus and he isn't here.
He may be nearer than you think.
The Man in the Santa Claus Suit. Sunday on WTTV Channel 4, the Indiana movie station.
Dr. Tavel's Premium Optical is having the contact lens sale of the year. $19.86 is all you pay for soft mate daily or extended wear lenses.
Back at Assembly Hall. Well, John, you know, we've talked many times about how many times to pass the ball. When the ball is really in motion, here was the circumstance where you could almost overpass.
Right, good shot fake here. Now watch how open Brian is right here. Just goes right up with it. But he passes once. Now you got to watch 3 seconds here, too. Freeman can go up with it. And then he finds it to Darrell. That would have caused some problems if it hadn't gone in. But since it did, so be it. Go on to the next play.
Now we've got a fan here who has been an IU basketball fan for many, many years, and he's about a month out of the hospital. Our warmest welcomes to this fellow right here, James Doc Councilman, swimming coach for Indiana, and what a glorious record he has here at Indiana University. Corrected hip surgery, as I said, about a month ago, and he's up on his feet and really perking.
Also want to say hello to IU's women's golf coach, Sam Carmichael. Hope he's watching the game and feeling in good spirits.
There's a group of 25 from the Centerville United Methodist Church Youth Fellowship at today's game, too, saying hello to all their friends watching the game on Channel 4 over in the Centerville, Richmond area. So we welcome all of you during this holiday season. Hope that you're enjoying the game and enjoying the festive move of this time of year as well. Today's game between Indiana and Morehead State Eagles is being played at Assembly Hall in Bloomington, Indiana. The score here at halftime, Indiana 42, Morehead State 25.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
to know something, Tom? You're nothing but a fat, lazy cat.
I still hang out with a fat, lazy cat.
He never has appreciated my fine company.
Jim Davis, another Indiana legend.
2 Indiana legends.
Brought to you with pride by Farm Bureau Insurance.
Larry Hodge always dreamed about getting to the Super Bowl. Well, when GTE supplied the telecommunication systems for Super Bowl 20, Larry got his chance. In just 30 days, he and his team of installers laid 9 miles of cable, designed and installed dozens of telecommunication systems, and over 1,100 different lines, which explains why Larry's team will make it to the Super Bowl again this year. GTE, quality service from quality people.
Charlie, give me a light. Oh, Charlie, a Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light. Hey, thanks.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Can I have a light? Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Welcome to IU Halftime. I'm Mitch Hyder. You know, when most fans think about major sports, they think about baseball, basketball, and football. But on an international scale, track and field ranks second only to soccer. Even in the United States, track and field ranks third among school-age boys and second among school-age girls. We're talking with IU track coach Sam Bell. And, Coach, does track and field suffer from a misunderstanding?
Well, I'm not sure, Mitch, that it suffers from misunderstanding as much as it suffers from lack of understanding. It's a very complicated sport to follow in the fact that there are somewhere between 16 and 21 separate disciplines within the sport. And a lot of those are going on at the same time in a competition, and people sometimes, if they're not really into knowing what's going on, have difficulty following it. They feel like they're at a 5 or a 6 ring circus, and there's so many things going that they can't comprehend it sometimes.
Coach, if you could, tell us about some of the specifics that go into sprint starting.
Well, to start with, I think you've got to worry about where your blocks are positioned, and there are some basic guidelines and keys that you can follow there that are not real complicated to allow a person to get in a position which will let them efficiently leave the starting line. This is Lamont Frazier, who is the Big Ten 110-meter high hurdle champion, and we're going to go through some basic principles of starting with him. To start with, we want him to get in the blocks, and we'd like to have the front foot the length of the lower leg back from the starting line. So do you want to go ahead and get in that position? When the runner gets in the blocks, we want the knee placed on the very back of the starting line, and then the block comes up to where the foot falls, so that the block is actually from the starting line back to where the block is the length of the runner's lower leg. And that's true of whether the runner is a tall runner or a short runner. That stays consistent, and so the limb length is a determining factor of where this block goes. Then the back block is placed in a position where the knee sits in front of the front foot, but it is not up in a bunch position. It's what we call a medium start. When the runner is in the blocks, has decided where the feet are going to be, he then rolls forward so the shoulders get in front of the hands. And once he is there and the starter gives the command set, he raises the hips. He doesn't roll forward anymore. The angle from the hamstring to the calf muscle should be approximately 90 degrees, usually slightly less than that. And the angle of the back leg from the hamstring to the calf muscle should be somewhere around 120 to 150 degrees, depending on how far the block is. And on the command set, he comes to that position where he's ready to go. And you come up to a set position now, Lamont, if you will. And you can see that there's a straight line from the back through the head. He hasn't tilted the head up to look down the track. And on the command go, what will happen is the back foot will come forward, the opposite arm will go forward parallel to the track. You want to come out in that position? And the back hand comes back where it's by the hip with the elbow high, and when he's running, he'll obviously go ahead and take some other strides. But what you do not want to do at the starting line is to pick up the hands and run through a hoop. You want the arms to get involved. And right now, Lamont, I'd like you to get in the blocks, and I'll give you the commands, and you can go ahead and drive out of the blocks. Right, on your marks. Set. Go.
For IU Halftime, I'm Mitch Heider.
5.5 minutes remain in halftime. We're at Assembly Hall, where Indiana leads the Eagles of Morehead State 42-25. Let's pause now to hear from our local stations. This is the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network.
Insane! My audio and video prices are so low, no one can go lower.
At Appliance Warehouse, our prices are almost close to wholesale. You can't do better than that.
No matter what they claim,
The competition's gunning for me because I got the best stereo prices in town.
just remember the asterisk, because nobody but nobody sells for less than Highland.
Monday at 6, the adventures of a family shipwrecked on a tropical island.
We'll manage, won't we?
Only one thing brings pirates to a godforsaken place like this: treasure.
The idol, Mr. Robinson. Not until my wife is safe.
Martin Milner heads the Swiss Family Robinson, a holiday movie special, Monday on WTTV Channel 4, the Indiana movie station.
This is Dave Smith. For the best in classic motion pictures, join me every Saturday night for When Movies Were Movies. Tonight at 11, Charles Dickens' famous holiday classic comes to life, A Christmas Carol.
Good morning, sir.
Tell me, what day is it?
What day? What's Christmas Day, Christmas?
When Movies Were Movies on WTTV Channel 4, the Indiana movie station.
Indiana's back on the court. Let's take a look first. As you see the halftime score, let's take a look at the scoring for the first half. And individually, as we had suspected, Bob McCann, largely due to his effort at the free throw line with 13 points and 2 fouls. Mason with 5 and Turner with 3, and that's some of the scoring for Morehead State. For Indiana, Alford with 11, 3 of those 3-point shots. Darrell Thomas has 8. Garrett with a good support. Thomas had 10, rather. Garrett with the support of 8. Smart 6 and Callaway 5. Hillman 2.
A lot of fouls, though, Chuck.
Yes.
You saw there 2 different players with 3. Look at the difference in shots taken. Indiana has taken 37. Morehead State's only taken 18. But look at the free throws. Morehead State's taken 17 and not hit very many of those. The rebounds are about even. The turnovers is the difference. That's the reason Morehead has not taken as many shots. They've got 13 turnovers.
We have some scores for you. Michigan leads Northern Michigan 49-40, and that's at halftime. Another score for you, another game for you involving Valparaiso and Notre Dame, and the Irish in that contest leading by 13 points and going on to win the game. Other games: Ohio State is playing the Gator Bowl Classic. Iowa State is playing at Iowa today. Tampa's at Purdue tonight. Illinois at North Carolina, Minnesota at Detroit, and Michigan State is playing at Texas Christian. Now stay tuned for second half action. We'll be ready in just a minute.
Nothing makes your day like helping others make it on their own.
You bring out the pride we all feel inside.
It's going to be easy next week.
It's more than just the job you do. You make America work, and this fights for you.
Good work.
Here's to you, Beechwood Aged, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This fights for you.
I feel like a new man.
He just bought a new car.
And I shopped all over town.
He compared prices, options, warranties.
And I picked out this little beauty.
Very sporty.
Then we needed to insure our new car.
So I shopped all over town.
She compared cost, coverage.
And I chose Farm Bureau Auto Insurance.
Very smart.
You make a very smart, very sporty couple.
You want to fix me?
Thought you never asked.
Let's go.
We like to see you smile. We know that you're busy with no time to spare, and you need someone who cares. Hooks likes to see you smile. We're here to help you say that she's someone special. We'll show you the way. Hooks likes to see you
Without Amex coal, practice would be over. It takes coal to produce the electricity that lights basketball courts all the way from backyards to the NBA. Amex Coal Company. Bet you never thought of us as a basketball power.
Eddie Murphy is back in action.
Oh!
And loving every minute of it. The Golden Child, rated PG-13. Now playing.
We're set to start second half action. Before we do, let me tell you about the holiday tourney, the Hoosier Classic, coming up at Market Square Arena next Friday and Saturday. It's the 5th annual. Indiana faces Princeton in the 7 o'clock game on Friday night. Illinois State and Fresno State will follow. Consolation and championship games on December 27th. 2-session tickets are $24 each, and they're on sale over the counter at the Athletic Ticket Office and Assembly Hall, and also at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. You can order your tickets by telephone by using your MasterCard or Visa, and the number here in Bloomington is 812. That's the area code, 335-4006. And there are still some seats, some tickets available for the trip to Birmingham, Alabama for the New Year's Eve All-American Bowl game between Florida State and Indiana. And we'll tell you more about that later on. Indiana with possession starting the second half and leading in the game 42-25. Alford with 11 points in the first half. Inside they go immediately, and Dean Garrett, as he posts up and comes up for the ball, has the first 2 points of the second half.
Much sharper as Indiana comes out at that halftime. Back with the starting lineup. Quick basket.
A little mismatch momentarily as Indiana switched out high, and McCann was open, but they couldn't get the ball to him. There's another turnover. Little costly foot shuffles before the ball's put down, and as we had heard last week, Indiana's coaches had worked with this fellow, Keith Smart, to try to keep him away from that foot shuffle. And Smart playing a little bit better here this afternoon. There's a shot by Garrett that's blocked and pulled down by McCann. As we said, he averages 12.5 rebounds a game, and he also fires. Puts the ball up just about as often as any player on the team. It won't fall. The second inside shot, really easy. And Davis does, I'm sorry, that was Rivers had the easy one. He just couldn't get it to drop.
Good lead pass into Garrett, but McCann comes up with a big play as he blocks that shot away cleanly. See, he leads their team with 22 block shots.
That last foul was on McCann. Here's Thomas outside. Thomas very effective as he shoots over Derek Davis from free throw range. And Darrell has 12. 46-25. Hoosiers beginning to build their lead. Davis to the line. Blocked away. Alford. Here's a 3-on-1 up to Thomas. Thomas puts it up off the glass. Tipped back on the foul by Garrett.
That's a tough pass there. You don't want to give your big man the ball when he's got a dribble with a guard in front of him. And Indiana got away with one there as Dean Garrett was able to tip it in. But Keith Smart, although Steve didn't see it, was coming on the other side. Here's a steal.
Griffin tries to feed. Here's Alford behind the back. Garrett on the trails lays it in. That's a break because I think Alford tried to go behind the back and flip it over to Callaway and couldn't hold control of the ball. We have timeout. With 18 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in this game, you're watching Indiana basketball at Assembly Hall in Bloomington, where the score reads Indiana 50, Morehead State 25.
Okay, you guys. Everybody on a motorcycle. Hey, Mal, come on.
He was soon to be a legend. He was soon to be a star.
Come on up.
Worked his magic in the lead.
And they're off. Uncle Babyface Lewis is in trouble. He's fishtailing. Wait, he's got it back. Oh, no! Baker's just blown his engine.
When he worked his magic, you believe.
It's Hot Shoes and Babyface. They're neck and neck.
Hot shoes, come on, hot shoes.
It's Babyface Lewis!
Movie
star James Dean, another Indiana legend, brought to you with pride by Farm Bureau Insurance.
As Big Ten representing itself pretty well in non-conference play.
Yep, 3 still undefeated. Iowa, Illinois, and Purdue. Ohio State won last night. They're now 7-1. And there you see the rest of the conference. 3-2, the worst record. That's Minnesota, and they've been coming on with a little rebuilding job.
Austin Peay defeated Minnesota the other night. Here's behind the back pass. He just didn't quite get it there. Maybe it was intended for Garrett.
I don't think so. I think he just missed it, but Garrett was the right place at the right time and really saved Steve that time.
Now, there's a good inside move by Tony Curry as they penetrated the right side of Indiana's defense and puts it up for his first field goal. It's 50-27 as Indiana attempting to maintain control of this game. Across court, Alford, 3 on the way, good. Oh, I'll tell you, just from 3-point range, it's really tough tonight.
Especially when he's got time to set. And against the zone, he'll do that. He'll get his feet squared away and wait till the ball's reversed to him, where he doesn't have to chase the ball. He'll be effective on that shot. Good pressure that time, and he still got it in.
McCann over Garrett, and that goes. And Garrett put up some pretty good defense. McCann's first field goal of the second half. And lost the ball. Smart. One of the rare turnovers by Indiana in this contest. We played 3 minutes and forced back up to the basket. McCann has it knocked, or Callaway has it knocked out of his hand by McCann, gets it right back, and now Callaway reaches over and a foul. I think Garrett's a little bit disturbed himself, or Callaway's a little disturbed as he walks away. Garrett not even near the play at the time, and McCann showing a little temper. Callaway thought he was fouled as he turned away with a rebound. Let's look.
Here's the play. Callaway gets the ball slapped away. Now it's a 3-on-1. Good save there. And now Rick, really an intentional foul, looks like. And there goes the elbow. Rick ducks out of the way. And that's when the officials step in. Now, what had happened, the play before down the floor, it looked like Garrett and McCann got into a little bit, going for a rebound. Here's Gary Muncy with the call. It goes against Callaway, the grab. That's 2 shots, even though it wasn't a shooting foul. So that was twice in a row where McCann had been pushed around a little bit, and with the size he's got, he's not used to being pushed around.
Well, the size he's got, I wouldn't imagine you'd want to push him around very much.
I think everything seems to be back in order now. He's going to be ready to shoot.
Indiana's going with Steve Alford, Rick Callaway, Darrell Thomas, Dean Garrett, and Keith Smart. The line is Bob McCann. He's been there a passel of times today. And this is his first free throw of the second half. His 13th free throw is up and good. And he has made 9. He's 9 of 13. 17 points. 53-31. Hoosiers with the lead and the ball into Garrett and over Thomas's outstretched arms. So with the Hoosier turnover, the Eagles have a chance to whittle away once again, trailing by 22. Curry. Griffin underneath, right into the hands of Thomas. The lead, quick eyes, and lost the ball as Smart went high in the air. But what quick eyes in the hands by Darrell Thomas, and up and in by Bob McCann.
So I don't think Keith Smart knew there was a player behind him that time. And that ball was slipped right out of his hands and turns into a turnover, and then a quick basket by Morehead State.
Offensive foul will be called on Curry. Curry just ran right into Smart. Smart had set the position, held it. Curry just ran right into it.
All right, watch this now. Smart with good position. Boom, and there's the foul. Both players go down.
John, as a player, when you make a poor play, do you always want to try to justify or vindicate yourself coming back?
Oh, exactly. Right away if you can. And usually you see a player make a foul that way.
Darrell Thomas connects again. His 7th field goal. He has 14.
5 assists now for Rick Callaway.
Morehead State brings it up off baseline. Inside, punches to McCann, and McCann falls away and scores again. He leads both teams with 21.
Hey, he's really coming on strong, Chuck. You saw those 3 early turnovers he had. In this second half, he's really come on strong.
Callaway to Garrett, and Garrett is fouled and will go to the line as Michael Mason picks up personal number 2. Look at this again.
Callaway with the pass inside. Garrett's got it, and that foul is going to be out of bounds. Let's see.
Well, they say it wasn't in the act of shooting. It was after the shot, apparently.
Here's the other side. McCann with that left-handed jumper.
And Smart's just having a little trouble hanging on the ball today. A couple of times off passes. And
he's got a bandage on that thumb, Chuck. Look at that dunk by McCann. It looked like he pinned that ball against the backboard. Came down with it, went strong, but Keith Smart's got a bandage on his thumb. Maybe having a tough time holding on to that ball.
55-37. Hoosier lead is 18. Good feed from Garrett to Thomas for the slam dunk. Thomas, if anything, should try to use more of those baseline moves like that.
Exactly.
When he's in position. Yep. And a shot from the corner fired up by Talbert Turner. His 2nd field goal. Had 1 3-pointer in the first half. And won't fall. Alford tries to beat Curry to the ball, but Curry will bring it across. 14-20 left in this game. Indiana in command all the way. And a block and a foul against
Morehead State on a charge. Wayne Martin cannot believe it. His reaction jumped straight off the bench. There's Garrett with position, but he was off his feet. He was straight up in the air, but off his feet, and almost always you'll see that call go against the defense. But this time it goes against Curry.
Substitution, Morehead State. Willie Feldhaus, number 12 in the lineup, 6'6" senior from Nashville. Drive by Rick Callaway.
No sign of weakness with that knee on that quick move.
And the plant knee in that case off the right side is the right knee. Good move. Double team. Out, easy shot, won't go. Near stuff, and timing again. Dean Garrett waits for the ball to come down. Here comes Indiana. 59-39, Hoosiers by 20. Alford steps in. He's fouled. That was a late call. Finally came off. The foul's going to go against Morehead State. 24. And that is Curry's 4th. Wayne Martin looks immediately down his bench as the 6'1" freshman from Louisville will have to come out. Derek Davis back in. Davis from Decatur, Alabama, will be in at the next opportunity. Here's Hillman. And the foul out of bounds goes against Morehead State. That is the 5th foul against the Eagles, and it goes against Talbert Turner. His 1st. Jeff Griffin back in, replaces Feldhaus. And Talbert Turner comes out. So they're going to leave Curry in there with 4. Alford. Hillman. Back to Thomas, all alone, won't fall. And McCann pulls it away. Lets those elbows stick out a little bit. At what stage, John, does an official feel he's used his elbows a little too much?
He used that word flagrant, and it's a very difficult judgment call. We haven't seen it called very much this year. Maybe sometimes we thought it could have been.
Davis to Griffin. Griffin travels. A little stutter step, takes the head fake, but moves the foot. I imagine Wayne Martin will go back and look at these turnovers that we see right here. 17-10 for the whole game, and just sort of have nightmares for a day or so. Hillman That's going to go against McCann. There's a matchup underneath. McCann commits his 4th personal as Alford gets the 2 points.
Yeah, Steve knew he had to get this ball away quickly. Good pass by Joe, a bounce pass. And before McCann really gets settled, Steve's already got the ball away and then shielded with that left hand, which is what the hand McCann fouled. So chance for 3 points.
Bo Rivers replaces Michael Mason as the Eagles shuffle the lineup. You had alluded to this earlier, John, but Wayne Martin says that he likes to go 11 deep if he can. He likes to see a bench with that much room to play, and there are not many coaches that feel that way. They would like to stick with maybe 7 or 8.
I think Coach Knight believes this year it's going to take 8 or 9 players for Indiana to be a real contender in that Big Ten, and I think any coach's dream would be to go 8, 9 deep.
Davis lost it, gets it right back, and fires it high, arching for 2. 62-41. Hoosiers lead 21 points. Down to Callaway. Easy 2.
Moving real well inside, Chuck, not only forward and backward, but laterally. And that's really important for his type of player. He's got to move that lane. Remember last year how he moved against the zone, get in that lane, that nice soft jumper, and that's twice in a row now we've seen him move a drive to the basket, each time resulting in layups.
John, for such a long time, Indiana has had good wings, good forwards. There's a steal. We'll pick up on this in a minute. Alford on the drive, and a blocking foul goes against Derek Davis. On Davis, that will be personal number 1, according to my records. Indiana's had good driving wings and good shooting wings from 17, 18, 19 feet out. But we've got 2 wings with Thomas and Callaway that can really use the baseline this year.
Yes, they can, and that's a big. Watch this steal. Quick hands, and now a fast break. Steve's trying to take this all the way inside. He looks like he's going to be all right. Obviously foul, but look how his feet get taken out from under him. He crashes pretty hard, but he'll be at the line. Steve now with 4 assists and 2 steals today's game. See his free throws right at 90%. A little bit less than he was last year, though, Chuck.
So we were making a statistical comparison. Callaway comes out. He gets a fine hand from this crowd here this afternoon. Through the Louisville game last year, that's through 6 games, Alford was 29 of 30. He'd only missed 1, and that occurred in the Louisville game. He was 5 of 6. And he misses this one. That's his 4th miss of the year. And right at 89%. He was batting 94% from the line last year, 89, and that probably has dropped just a little bit with that last shot. Curry lays it off, and Davis gets the easy bucket. There's 2 field goals in each half. 65-43. Gilman. A lot of picking and screening going on underneath, but now Hillman will fire. It's off the rim. Callaway last touched off the arm of Alford underneath. And so Indiana losing a little momentum and losing control of the ball, calls timeout. You're watching Indiana basketball at Assembly Hall in Bloomington with 11:02 remaining to score. Indiana 65, Morehead State 43.
I opened my IRA for the tax break, but now I want more. I'll only get it from a bank, and one that knows how much I need my nest egg. One that offers me a choice of IRA options to help me grow strong and pays high interest that goes even higher as my IRA takes off. I'll only get it from American Fletcher.
AFNB, smarter IRAs for smarter people.
I transferred for the IRA Advantage.
Are you concerned about your IRA and the new tax law? Call AFNB for the answers. For example, did you know there's still time to invest in an IRA and get a $2,000 deduction for 1986? For more answers to your IRA questions, call 1-800-321-3600 to get your copy of this free brochure from AFNB. There's no obligation. AFNB wants to make the IRA Advantage work for you. That number is 1-800-321-3600. Call now.
Back once again at Assembly Hall. There's a little lesson in the huddle during that timeout. And coach is giving a little fundamental lesson. last?
Well, Joe took a shot from outside that really didn't need to be taken, and he's hearing about it right there.
Steve Alford threw the Louisville game last year from the field 42 of 77 for 57%. You see the team stats there. From two-point range this year, he's 47%. That changes if you take the overall view, including the three-point shots. Dean Garrett over the top and deflected the ball apparently before McCann touched it out of bounds. So Indiana will bring it up. Good play by Garrett.
Good defense. Indiana with a real big lineup in there now. Chuck, Pelkowski and Garrett both inside with Thomas.
And Cree Smith in at that break.
They may have to use this lineup against Louisville on Tuesday because Louisville comes in with a big team.
Pelkowski, high arching shot. He's not afraid to put the ball up, and Magnus with his first field goal of the game. And 5-second call, as you witnessed it all, no one to release the ball to, and Curry frustrated on the baseline. It was McCann that finally came back, but not until time had expired.
In fact, the Morehead State player not even taking the ball out of bounds yet, because there was nowhere to throw it in.
Morehead State now with Michael Mason coming in and replacing Feldhaus again. Little mental mistakes, and again some of the nervousness and the frustrations which you would think could have worn off by now. Here's Pelkowski again.
Nothing he hasn't been able to do all summer long, Chuck. It's just that the fans at Assembly Hall have not seen it. The players have all seen it, and Magnus is really building that confidence now. 2 shots in a row.
We have 10 minutes remaining. 69-43. Hoosiers by 26. Down to McCann. Good front by Pelkowski. Little he can do as McCann fired over.
Well, that's good defense. He came over to help Dean. Arm straight in the air. Didn't foul. Good pressure. McCann made a good shot.
25 for McCann. Smith, Pelkowski alone again, but he won't shoot this time. Inside to Garrett, knocked away. Thomas scrambles, and we have a jump ball. And that will give the ball back to Morehead State. There's the stats. Morehead State picking up a little bit, 17 for 35, nearing the 50% mark. Indiana, 54%.
21 more shots by Indiana. That's the big difference.
That's right. That is the big difference. Clock working now in favor of Indiana. Morehead State has to get something going to try to assemble a more respectable position of the game as McCann left hands it up from outside and Thomas clears for Indiana. Pelkowski looking in and saw Dean Garrett flashing to the ball, tried to hit him. We have a foul underneath. And that will go against Bo Rivers. His third. Rivers from Haines City, Florida, 6'3" sophomore. And Cree Smith out of the lineup as we see Dave Miner for Indiana for the first time. Another substitution. 22, Pate Clements back in, and Jeff Griffin, 25, back in for the Eagles. And Bob McCann sits down. Fans really not totally appreciative, probably because they're not aware of what McCann's been doing, but he leaves the game at 25 points, taking this breather. And out of the lineup also goes Tony Curry.
Good soft shot now on those free throws as you've talked about in the first half, Chuck. Good to see Dean coming around real quick. A new form since he got to school this summer. A new form he's worked on. Looks pretty good. Not a lot of action. Just all movements that are important to the shot. Nothing fancy. He's got a good soft shot going up there. That's 7 out of 8 free throws now for Indiana.
Now, a few of us were down here one night last week, sitting so candidly talking to Coach Knight. Not since Steve Downing has Indiana, in Knight's opinion, had a player that can rebound with the effectiveness of Dean Garrett. So the more offense they can get out of him, the better total contribution they have. Pelkowski, and this one doesn't fall. And Garrett, look at this. That's the rebounding we're talking about. And the wheel to Pelkowski.
Well, you got to like this big lineup if Indiana's got to use it, because Magnus can come outside against the zone, but yet he can move inside. There he's talking with a hook shot. Daryl Thomas, of course, played center last year. Could be a big, strong forward, and Dean Garrett in the middle.
Got him off his feet, and the pass went underneath to Jeff Griffin, who had an easy basket, his first of the game.
That was a good pass. There was no way to get that shot away. He just saw an opening.
Alford has 18 points. Minor handling for the first time. Down to Pelkowski. Alford. Thomas underneath, gets it back. Back right up to Dean Garrett. Uses the glass for 2 more.
That ball came right back to Darrell on a bad pass. He threw it right into the defense. He was able to recover, though, on his own. Get that pass into Garrett again.
Derek Davis. Well, he is a muscular young man. And around they go. It's the first fake, and inside it goes. And 2 for Bull Rivers.
The rebounds again pretty even here in the second half, even for the game.
And we have timeout called by Indiana with 7 minutes 13 seconds remaining. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana 75, Morehead State 49.
When you're looking for a sure thing, look to the man who knows what it takes to be a winner. Look for quality, dedication, pride. Look to your Indiana Ford dealer for America's #1 truck, F-150. Priced to save you over $670. Ford quality, dedication, pride, and performance.
See your Indiana Ford dealer. Good people, great products. As sure as a little 3-pointer.
I think we should talk to our Farm Bureau insurance agent about more life insurance.
Life is full of surprises. Let's use our extra money to enjoy them.
Honey.
We could take a long vacation. I can just see you lying on a beach soaking up the sun.
Honey.
Or we could buy a brand new convertible. It's like a vacation on the beach, but with no sand.
Honey, we're expecting one of life's little surprises.
Because life is full of surprises.
Laz, in a couple of earlier games, Garrett, when he get the ball under circumstances like this, would force it up off the glass pretty hard. He seems to have that touchback.
Oh, he's a little off balance there, but still made a nice soft touch. 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Boy, you almost expect about 10 rebounds out of him a game, and boy, that's great to see.
Brian Sloan in for Indiana. Dave Minor throws it behind Cree Smith. Smith looking the other way, and Minor makes the errant pass. So we've arrived at the 7-minute mark. 75-49 Indiana. Morehead State with a chance to knock that down by 2. Knocked out of bounds, and I believe one official, Ted Valentine, was going to call it one way, and Mike Stockner calls it the other. So it will be Morehead State to toss it in. 14 is Michael Mason. Over to Griffin. Jeff lets it air out for 3. Griffin in 3-point range coming into today's game was 6 of 14, the best from that distance for Morehead State. Bad pass to a cutting Brian Sloan. And the shot is missed, but the rebound on the follow to Griffin. And suddenly Griffin has 7 points all here in the second half. Smith behind a Pelkowski screen for 2.
That's a double screen, really, with Garrett and Pelkowski both there. And again, those 2 big guys working together can, working well, can really do a good job. That time setting the picks. You saw before the give and go to Pelkowski.
And on the baseline, that basket will not count as Bull Rivers, making the move to get the reverse layup, stepped on the line. Morehead State scoring limited to one big man, Bob McCann. Everyone else for the Eagles in single figures. McCann has 25. Garrett doubled, and right through the hands of Pelkowski. Up come the blue and white, and the basket will count, and the foul against Indiana as Rivers gets an easy 2 off the glass. The foul is on Indiana's Brian Sloan.
Morehead State really working on the fast break. With Indiana with a big lineup, they're not getting back quickly enough. Passes go around. Right there's the foul.
Rivers averaging 67% and counts for this one, his 5th. So it's a 20-point Indiana lead, 77-57. Garrett arching high. Pelkowski rebounds and misses. Pelkowski fights for the ball again. Loose under the basket, pulled out by the Eagles. McCann under the line. No. 14-foot shot by Bob McCann, one of the few that hasn't dropped for him this afternoon. Pelkowski almost throws it away. And out of bounds, Morehead State.
Not a good lead pass. You might throw that pass to a guy who can take it right up and stuff it, but Free would have had to catch that ball, come down, and plant himself. So not a good percentage pass.
Griffin over to Mason. Indiana standing on that rebound. Now Garrett finally pulls it down. Garrett playing a hard game on the boards and offensively as well. Pelkowski tipped. Rebound again to McCann. Put back over to Mike Stockner. Might have said something to him, thinking he was fouled underneath. There is a good turn and a good move to the basket by 22 Pete Clements. And we have an official's timeout as Mason has come up a little limp there on the floor, favoring his right leg just a bit. He comes out as Talbert Turner comes back in. Todd Meyer for Indiana. Maybe we can see what happened here.
Watch the left part of your screen there. Hey, right there. Got caught. It's incidental contact.
So Mason is on the bench. And they're attending to him as Indiana has the ball, leading 77-59 with 3:56 left in this game. Over to Meyer. Indiana working the ball around. We had called your attention to Meyer before, and he put that one up off the glass, missed. And Morehead State calls timeout. We have 3:39 left to be played in this game. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana 77, the Eagles 59.
You're about to see one of life's most unforgettable moments. Trust Hook's photo finishing to make your memories last.
We like to see you smile.
Buy me, buy me, buy me. Before you buy a business phone system from a stranger, look into Centrex from Indiana Bell. With Centrex, you can stuff each phone with all the features you want, and phones for Centrex can cost you less, too. You can freeze your phone cost for the next 14 years, and it doesn't cost you a ton to tie all your locations together. Centrex can save you a lot. In fact, you can save enough to buy a company car. Investigate Centrex, the business phone system from Indiana Bell.
Rick Callaway, statistically on his first game following the injury, not too bad. Morehead State with the ball. Derek Davis. Curry is back in for Morehead State. This is McCann working on Todd Meyer and leans in, puts it off the glass. It won't fall. Minor clears it for Indiana, and here come the Hoosiers. We were talking about the All-America Bowl football game, Florida State and Indiana. If you really don't want to go to the game, but you would like to send a young boy or girl from a boys club or a girls club or a YMCA, send your contribution to Indiana University. Make a check payable to Indiana University Foundation. And for each ticket that you would like to purchase, there's a shot by Pelkowski. He has 8 points. $20 for each ticket you would like to purchase, and maybe you could send some young boy or girl or a senior citizen down to see a game that they might not otherwise see. $20 per seat to the IU Foundation. You can send them in care of Ralph Floyd and the athletic department at Assembly Hall. Whistle, and Brian Sloan commits the foul. Derek Davis will step to the line.
Indiana not coming up the rebounds now at the defensive end. Morehead State taking good advantage of that, nearly getting a three-point play.
Just thinking about that little thing, All-America Bowl, I can't think of anything that would be more pleasant, more appealing to me than to, if I were unable to go to the game, be able to send some youngster that couldn't see it otherwise. And it's all tax deductible. This will be about the last year for that opportunity. Derek Davis, first of a two-shot opportunity, misses. Now more substitutions. Griffin out of the lineup, 33. We're seeing him for the first time, Kevin Simpson, a sophomore, 6'7", from Newark, New Jersey.
See, Davis is 0 for 3. The team's 11 to 21 for the game.
Davis hits this one. He has 9.
There's the rebounds, still right at even.
2 minutes, 24 seconds left to play in this game. 79-60. The Hoosiers will win this one. They're 6th against 1 loss, and that loss goes to Vanderbilt. Underneath, out of bounds, last touch by Indiana. So the hookup between Dave Miner and Brian Sloan didn't gel. And Indiana beginning to turn the ball over a little more frequently. State. Davis into McCann. Offensive foul as McCann leans in to Todd Meyer, who had the position. And that is the 5th foul against Bob McCann.
I think McCann knew he had a smaller player on him against Meyer and just wanted to take it right in. There you see, I think Todd had good position there.
So McCann leaves with 25 points and gets a fine hand, a little slap of the hand from Cree Smith.
12 rebounds, and as we mentioned at the open, he was going to be their horse. He sure did turn out to be, but didn't quite get enough help from his teammates.
This is his highest game of the season. His career high is 31 points against Tennessee Tech. 3. Pelkowski's putting on a shooting exhibition here this afternoon.
Yep, three-pointer, and I think after Steve Alford, he's about Indiana's next best three-point shooter. It's 5 out of 9 now for Indiana from the three-point line.
Callaway's pretty tough from out there.
Well, the more the merrier, Chuck. We'll take 4 or 5. It doesn't matter.
Davis, with 1:27 remaining, gets it away just in time. Now the feed, and an easy 2 as Kevin Simpson will make the record books. Simpson with his first field goal. Indiana by 20, 82-62. Morehead State goes back to face West Virginia Monday night. Indiana's next game is Louisville next Tuesday right here at Assembly Hall. Game time is 7:30. Hope you join us. Todd Meyer, he scores, he's fouled. And the State player's down hard, but he's going to be getting up. That's Curry. The foul is on Mike Cheney, 6'8" sophomore from Jackson, Kentucky. His first. The basket will count, and we have a timeout before Todd will take his free throw. With that, we'll tell you you're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. With 56 seconds remaining, Indiana 84, Morehead State 62.
Not a body shop. It's a chop shop.
where stolen cars are stripped of their parts. You can help deter auto thieves by supporting stricter licensing and titling laws, insisting on tougher jail sentences for car thieves, and by etching your vehicle identification number on the windshield of your car. Your Farm Bureau insurance agent can help. We gotta shut them down before they clean up.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
And look at Dean Garrett. 18, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. This has been finals week here at IU, and the boys are out of finals now. I think one of them had finals yesterday. And free throw by Meyer is missed as Sloan goes hard to the floor. But at any rate, their finals are all out of the way now, and so the players can concentrate on just basketball. It's Louisville Tuesday night, and then the Hoosier Classic at Market Square Arena. With Indiana's first opponent Friday night, Princeton. And the winner of the Illinois State-Fresno State game, or the loser, as the case may be, on Saturday night. Knocked away by Minor out of bounds. Indiana with 29 seconds remaining. And back in Michael Mason, Cortland, Alabama, as Wayne Martin begins to clear his bench. Hale will check in before Craig Smith, also in the lineup.
I want to give everybody a chance to play. You see the rest of the bench coming in.
Steve Brooks, 6'6", senior from Nicholasville, Kentucky. And with less than a half a minute remaining, Morehead State will have probably at least one last opportunity to make an effort to go to the basket. This is Smith. Tries to get down to the baseline, back out to Brooks. And Smith on top. Robin Lott, number 13, on the wing right side, just the edge of your picture. Blocked away. And on the line with 6 seconds remaining, so one last futile effort by the Eagles before time runs out. This is Lott. And it won't fall on the rebound to Todd Meyer, and time runs out. So we've come to the end of the game with the final score: Indiana 84, Morehead State 62. The Hoosiers moved to 6-1. State drops to 3-4. And we'll be back to check the scoring and review today's game in just a minute.
Hi, I'm Dick Enberg for GTE. You know, telecommunications and football have a lot in common. They both involve things like good connections, conference calls, and data communications. And for their communications, more and more NFL teams rely on GTE. Teams like the Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Bucks, Indianapolis Colts, and Seattle Seahawks. For your quality communications, talk to the telecommunications consultant to Super Bowl 21. Talk to GTE.
Without Amex coal, practice would be over. It takes coal to produce the electricity that lights basketball courts, all the way from backyards to Assembly Hall. Amex Coal Company. Bet you never thought of us as a basketball power.
84-62's final score. Leading scorer in this game was the visitors' Bob McCann. He had 25 points, and a bundle of those came from the line, as Indiana put McCann at the line and put Morehead State in the 1-and-1 early with about 6, if I remember, about 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half, John. And against teams with maybe a little bit more competition, than Morehead State today. To get to the line with that much time remaining while you're still struggling to get to the line can cause some problems.
That's right. That's the second game now. We mentioned UNC Wilmington with Rowsome, and then, of course, today with McCann. Indiana's had trouble stopping a strong center inside. Both players were 6'9", and although Garrett seemed to be effective, he got in foul trouble. Different players had to come in, and the guys has really gone for a good game. So obviously when the Big Ten season starts, that's going to happen, but more quickly Tuesday with Purvis Ellison for Louisville coming in here. It's going to be another strong test for Indiana with a good center coming into play.
Ellison played an exceptionally fine game as a freshman against Indiana last year down there in Louisville. I know we were there. We saw the game at Freedom Hall. It was only a 2-point Louisville win. But nonetheless, with the ball and the responsibility in Ellison's hands as many times as it occurred last year, he handled it well. Obviously, he's much more mature, having gone through an entire season last year and developing, and now comes into this year with a lot more confidence.
Well, especially with the season they had. When we saw him, it was early in December, earlier in his career, and then they go on to win the national championship. He's the big center in the middle. So toward the end of the year, obviously, he played better. But this year, they lost a lot of players. He's kind of their center, literally and figuratively, as far as leadership also. And that's been a new role for him.
I received a letter this last week concerning our comments about Steve Alford and how some of his shots, when we talk about them going in, they're great shots that he works on. And when the shots that aren't going in, there's something wrong with his shooting habit. And the person who wrote the letter, or shooting technique, the person who wrote the letter took issue with that, assuming that we feel that all his shots should drop in. Well, we do see that we watch this man tirelessly shoot out there and work on his game from the line. I think that's some things that the fans don't realize, is that we see him shoot under these adverse conditions all the time. And with him 10 points better, 10 percentage points better last year, 57% at this stage of the season from 2-point range, and about 5 or 6 points better from the line, there has been a little change that's maybe taken place in his game. I wonder if he's concerned about it too, John.
I don't think he's concerned. He's been a shooter from way back, and I don't see any reason why he can't really pick that up here once the Big Ten season starts.
Let's take a look, if we can, just for a second, the unofficial scoring. McCann with 25, fouling out in the game with a minute 59 remaining. These are all Morehead State scoring. Griffin had 7, Turner 5, Mason 5, and Rivers had 5, Curry with just 4. For Indiana, 2 with 18, Alford and Garrett. Thomas had a good productive day today, 16 points. Good balance scoring by Indiana. Pelkowski had 11, Callaway 9. That's a great effort for him coming back following his injuries, and it certainly shows that he hasn't really lost the shooting eye for the length of time that he played today. Smart had 6 and Hillman had 2, and Indiana finishes the game with a 24-point win, 84-62. We will continue with our post-game show after we hear from our local stations. This is the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network.
Daddy, want to play the guessing game?
Sure.
What do you buy that you hope you never use?
Hey, that's a tough one. Is it something for you or something for me?
It's something for both of us.
Is it big or little?
It's big and real important. Give up?
Yeah, what do you buy that you hope you never use?
Life insurance, silly.
Life insurance?
Because life is full of surprises.
Sunday at 2, it's a little Yuletide magic when 3 different people all rent their holiday costumes from one very special person.
A costume won't change a good person into a bad person, or a bad person into a good person.
Sir, you're an incredibly profound philosopher.
I'm waiting for Santa Claus and he isn't here.
He may be nearer than you think.
The Man in the Santa Claus Suit, Sunday on WTTV Channel 4, the Indiana movie station.
Like many before, you came here asking for just one thing.
Sadowski, Shaboski.
A chance.
Pronounced Shaboski. You're gonna make it here, 'cause you make America work, and this one's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste
Hey, Sid.
that says Budweiser.
This bud's for you.
It's happening this week at Budget Car Sales. $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance.
By popular demand, $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance. Choose from a tremendous selection of low-mileage 86 and 85 model cars. Budget offers extended protection plans on most cars and has immediate financing available. Plus, for a limited time, $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance.
Budget Car Sales, where your old car is worth a minimum of $3,000.
Back once again at Assembly Hall. Interesting statistic, John. Indiana finally out-rebounded somebody, and we say that tongue-in-cheek, not to cast any affrontage to Indiana, but we have been beaten on the boards in spite of Garrett's efforts on the inside. Indiana today outboarded Morehead State 32-29. McCann had an even dozen, and Garrett had 8 for Indiana.
Right, Indiana's done a better job with Garrett in there at the rebounding, but over the years, Chuck, Indiana's always had trouble with that rebounding edge. And
why is that, John? We've had some big men in there.
It is true. It's just hard to say, Chuck. I don't think I can put a finger on it. I'm sure Coach would like to if he could, but it's just a matter of being aggressive and checking out, as we've talked many times. But Indiana just seems to be on the short end sometimes, but it's good to see him finally switch that around today.
Morehead State also had another statistic in their favor. Indiana turned the ball over 5 more times than State did. So I'm not so certain that statistic is totally accurate, because Indiana had a lot of subs in there right at the last.
Second half, Indiana did have some trouble with the turnovers, but for the most part, it was good to see Callaway come back in and do a good job. 9 points, played a lot, didn't seem to get real tired because he'll be needed on Tuesday.
That stamina is the important thing right now. We've seen that the leg is held up to the test. Now it's able to get him back up.
Right, and as we mentioned in the open, it's got to get the other players used to playing with him again, and on to the Big Ten, the Classic, and see what happens.
Okay, we understand now that the statistic on the turnovers was not totally accurate. Indiana was with 5 less turnovers than Morehead State. So that's, you know, when I said it was incorrect, well, nonetheless. Okay, final score, 84-62. Indiana on the long end of this victory. Any reproduction of this telecast without the express written permission of WTTV and Indiana University is strictly forbidden. Indiana University also has approval of the announcers used in this telecast. Now, this is Chuck Marlowe for John Laskowski and statistician Joe Smith, inviting you to join us next Tuesday night at 7:30 from Assembly Hall when Indiana meets the Cardinals of Louisville. So long, everybody.
You've been watching Indiana University basketball, brought to you for the 15th consecutive year by Farm Bureau Insurance and its nearly 700 agents throughout the state of Indiana. And by American Fletcher National Bank, where the advantage is yours. By your Hooks Dependable Drugstores, we like to see you smile. By the men and women of Amex Coal Company, a division of Amex Incorporated, a worldwide energy and minerals company. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. This telecast was produced through the facilities of WTTV in Indianapolis. This is the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network.
Deck the halls with Sports Illustrated wanted me to talk to you sports fans out there, and also to you people who love them. Christmas is coming, and if there's someone on your list who's interested in sports, give them Sports Illustrated. It's America's #1 sports magazine. You fans know I'm big on sports. On the other hand, I'm also sensitive, warm, caring, kind of a teddy bear with muscles. So you folks can trust me to help you find a great gift. You fans are going to love the week after week of action-packed coverage. And you'll love it because now Sports Illustrated is over 60% off the cover price. 54 big issues starting with a double blockbuster. The eagerly awaited Sportsman of the Year. Then you'll charge down the field for the bowl games, the NFL playoffs, and Super Bowl 21. But you don't have to go anywhere. Just call and order Sports Illustrated. No crowds, no returns. Nobody brings you basketball like this. The picks, the predictions, the pounding action under the hoop. And look at these guys. The body blows, the body checks, even a little body English. Then you'll swing into the summer game. These guys play baseball like I play football. Football! That's right. Before you know it, it's time for another season of the leading rushers, the Bone Crushers. Hey, you'll get all your favorite sports. And you'll get an attractive card that you could sign and give to your fan. So order now and save over 60% off a full year of Sports Illustrated. Call 1-800-621-7800. Then we'll include the baseball, football, and basketball previews plus the swimsuit issue, all for 3 payments of $14.98. And you won't be billed until next year. So call 1-800-621-7800. Make it a Merry Christmas all around. You sports fans will be happy. You people who love them will be happy. I feel kind of like Santa Claus. Another sensitive big guy.
WTTV for the good times.
Hello again. To call this the scoreboard may be a misnomer this afternoon because much of the pre-holiday tournament action will wind down this evening. We do have a few scores to pass along, however. Don't forget, the Big Ten is well represented in the top 20 schools. In fact, a great matchup coming up this evening here on Channel 4. At 8 o'clock, we'll go to Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, where the #1 ranked NC2A division school, the Spartans of Tampa, will take on the #2 ranked Purdue Boilermakers from Division I. A great shootout at Mackey at 8. And then tomorrow evening at 7, NBA basketball with the Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers at Richfield Coliseum. Back to collegiate action on Monday evening at 8 with Purdue at Toledo. And don't forget, Tuesday at 7:30, it is Louisville at Assembly Hall. Well, now in action from the Big Ten this afternoon, Indiana continues to win. They go to 6-1 on the season, an easy victory over Morehead State. The final there was 84-62. Looking at the slate for the remainder of the Big Ten schools in action today, once again, #2 Purdue hosting Tampa, #1 in Division I. And then #5 Illinois, the Illini traveling to #3 North Carolina this evening. And #4 Iowa tonight will host Iowa State. Elsewhere, it's Minnesota at Detroit tonight. Michigan State down in the Lone Star State at Texas Christian. And at Ann Arbor this afternoon, Michigan defeats Northern Michigan 102-76. A look through the top 20 and around the state of Indiana after this. Stay with us.
No matter how much you smoke or how long you've been smoking, with the Cigarettes program, you'll quit or your money back.
Now, arrest the smoking habit forever with Cigarest.
4 packs of cigarettes a day for over 30 years. Thanks to the Cigarest plan, I have stopped smoking.
I've been smoking since I was 17, and now I can finally breathe again.
Letters keep pouring in from customers praising Cigarest. People that have completely quit smoking using the Cigarest plan.
I was a 2-pack-a-day smoker and tried many times to quit. With Cigarest, I quit in a few short days.
The Cigarettes program really worked for me. You're talking to a guy who chain smoked for almost 20 years.
I thought I was wasting my money. I'm glad I was wrong. I can't believe I quit.
They didn't think they could quit either. But with the powerful Cigarest pills and plan, they quit quickly, safely, inexpensively, and without withdrawal. You can too.
Cigarette works even for the heaviest smoker like I used to be.
That after-dinner cigarette, I didn't want it.
With Cigarest, the urge to smoke was gone in days.
I thought I'd gain weight, but I didn't.
Cigarest gives you the strongest non-prescription formula to ease your craving for nicotine and a program guaranteed to work or your money back. If you don't completely stop smoking after using Cigarest, we'll refund your full purchase price. You have nothing to lose.
I thought I never stopped smoking, but I did.
If you want to arrest the smoking habit in just 5 days, call us now.
With Cigarest, you're guaranteed to stop smoking in just 5 days, without withdrawal and without gaining weight. Call toll-free 1-800-453-7300. Use your credit card, save COD fees, or send $19.95 to Cigarest. Box 4444, Carlsbad, California 92008, or call 1-800-453-7300.
Skipping a jump through the matchups involving top 20 rated schools. First of all, #8 Georgetown playing host this afternoon to Texas El Paso. It will be Colorado State at #9 Oklahoma tonight. Fairfield at number 10, Syracuse. Robert Morris, a one-time junior college, now a four-year institution, playing at the powerhouse Pittsburgh, number 13 in the country. Number 14, St. John's at Niagara. Number 17, Arkansas at Virginia. Old Dominion travels up to the Rosemont to play number 17, DePaul tonight near Chicago, and number 19, Temple at Villanova. Well, it hasn't happened since 1920, that meaning Valparaiso defeating the Irish of Notre Dame. It didn't happen today at the ACC in South Bend. The Irish victorious 63-50. Valpo goes to 5-2 on the slate. The Irish now 4-2. And one NFL game that has just concluded. The Giants of New York bombing the Green Bay Packers 55-24. Once again, a big victory for Indiana today, and what a great shootout we have for you planned this evening from Mackey Arena up at West Lafayette. The number 1 ranked team in the NC2A Division II, the Spartans of Tampa, 7-1 on the season, against the number 2 ranked Division I school, the Boilers of Purdue, at 8 p.m. That's our scoreboard. I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.
It's happening this week at Budget Car Sales. $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance.
By popular demand, $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance. Choose from a tremendous selection of low-mileage 86 and 85 model cars. Budget offers extended protection plans on most cars and has immediate financing available. Plus, for a limited time, $3,000 minimum trade-in allowance.
Budget Car Sales, where your old car is worth a minimum of $3,000.
Get that superior feeling in the great outdoors. It's a strong America and so much more. Freedom, independence, not just a dream. Let superior training give you the key. You wanna be on top. The best you can be. Superior. Well, you can be the best. You can be superior.
Everyone's joining the honeymooners for the holidays.
Well, and who might you be?
Well, I might be Santa Claus, but I ain't. You're not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do that. I'm Santa Claus.
Don't miss the laughter and good cheer, surprise guests, and the hilarious antics of a bus-driving Santa and an elf named Norton in a very special Season's Greetings from the Honeymooners.
A holiday special, Sunday morning at 10 on WTTV Channel 4.
The Big Ten Bowl preview is brought to you by Hardee's, where good people go for good food.
With the 1986 Big Ten regular football season now recorded in the record books, it's time for postseason play. A look at this and more on our special edition of the Big Ten today. This special edition of the Big Ten today is being brought to you in part by Hunt's Manwich. Just browns and ground beef and have a Manwich night. And by Hunt's Ketchup. When it comes to thickness and taste, you can't beat Hunt's Ketchup.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will Tiemann, and welcome to this special edition of the Big Ten Today. For the teams and their players that somehow successfully managed to survive the rigors and the stress of the regular football season, their reward has been a trip to postseason play. In 1986, 5 Big Ten teams fell into that category. The 5 included Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana, Iowa, and Minnesota. And it will be these 5 teams that will be our focus of attention on the Big Ten Today.
What's your mom fixing for dinner? bet it's something good for us. Liver and onion? Brussels sprouts? Manwich! Manwich!
All natural manwich, thick with tomatoes, bell peppers, and onions. Just add it to fresh ground beef, and you have a quick, nutritious meal they'll love every time.
You can feed them right and give them something they like. Just brown some ground beef and have a manwich night.
Guess what, Uncle Roy?
What?
Hunt's ketchup is the funnest ketchup in the land.
How do you know?
A little mouse told me. Mickey!
Hey, Mickey!
Minnie! Donald! Goofy! Minnie!
Hunt's ketchup squeezes out so thick and tastes so good. It's unbeatable. No wonder Hunt's is the official ketchup of Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Hunt's ketchup, it's the perfect taste for the perfect place.
If you made hamburger patties the way most places make hamburger patties, you'd discover your thick, meaty burgers were suddenly dry, flat, and lifeless. So at Hardee's, we developed a way to make our patties gently, so they cook up thicker, full of natural juices. It's a complicated machine, but we can give you an idea of the principle it's based on. The new quarter-pound burgers from Hardee's, a little closer to home.
The World Wrestling Federation returns to Indianapolis at the Market Square Arena with a great card Monday, December 29th at 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets in advance at the arena box office at all Ticketmaster locations. Matches include the Birdman Coco Beware against Jake the Snake Roberts. The Junkyard Dog tangles with Hercules. And Hulk Hogan returns to defend the heavyweight championship against the Ugandan headhunter Kamala, December 29th at the Market Square Arena.
The first on our calendar to check out is the Liberty Bowl. The teams will be Minnesota and Tennessee. They both have 6-5 records, but most important, they both wound up the campaign extremely strong.
In Memphis, Tennessee, on December 29th, the 28th annual Liberty Bowl will feature the Golden Gophers from Minnesota and the Volunteers from the University of Tennessee. If you like offense, this will be one you will not want to miss, as neither team has been able to master the art of defense in the big games. Yet they both have been known to outscore them. For Tennessee to make it 3 for 3 in the Liberty Bowl, the task is simple. Stop the Minnesota running attack. The Gophers' cavalry charge will be led by the Big Ten's leading rusher, freshman Darrell Thompson. Thompson, who was simply brilliant during the season, rambled for 1,240 yards of rushing, a Minnesota single-season record. When the Gophers weren't handing him the ball, they were throwing it to him. At season's end, he was the team's second leading receiver and second leading touchdown target. He also outscored every other running back in the Big Ten. The other ground threat the Volunteers must contend with is junior quarterback Ricky Foggy, who is already Minnesota's leader in career total offense. When it comes to the option, no one in the Big Ten does it better. When Foggy passes, and it's seldom, his favorite target is split end Mel Anderson. Anderson, Minnesota's only deep threat, averages 15 yards per reception. When the Gophers need a quick fix, he's the guy they go to. While Minnesota's offense is no mystery, neither is Tennessee's. The Vols like to throw the ball and throw it deep. Sophomore Jeff Francis was the only quarterback in the Southeastern Conference this season to enjoy a 300-yard-plus passing day, and he did it twice. Francis, who completed 64% of his passes in '86, loves to throw to his wide receivers. Leading the way is senior Joey Klingscales, the team's top pass catcher. The true deep threat for Tennessee is junior Anthony Miller, who leads the Vols in reception yardage and touchdown grabs. When Francis isn't launching air attacks, he's handing off to running back William Howard, a power runner who leads the Volunteers in rushing and led the Southeastern Conference in scoring with 14 touchdown runs.
Now, looking at our plus-minus chart, here's how we see it. When it comes to passing, a check here for Tennessee. In terms of rushing, it's Minnesota. Defensively, Minnesota, but not by very much. Place kicking, the Gophers and Chip Low Miller. Our pick to win, Minnesota, by virtue of the Gophers' competitive schedule. Next up is the Holiday Bowl. In this one, we have the surprise winner of the WAC Conference, San Diego State, and from the Big Ten, the Iowa Hawkeyes. As for how Iowa got to be 8-3 for the season, well, that's pretty easy to figure. They faced non-competitive pre-conference teams, but when they got into the Big Ten, they played well until they could not overcome their rash of injuries. As for 8-3 San Diego State, the Aztecs won 6 games by 7 points or less in what proved to be almost a Cinderella season. Now the only common opponent for these two teams is Texas of El Paso. San Diego State won that one by 5. Iowa won that one by 62.
In San Diego, California, it will be the University of Iowa meeting San Diego State on the 30th of December in the 9th Annual Holiday Bowl. San Diego State, the surprise champions of the Western Athletic Conference, will need to hope the clock does not strike midnight, as the Hawkeyes from Iowa represent far and away the best team they have played all season. With 5 All-Big Ten performers, the Hawkeyes enter this game with the nation's 9th best offense, 8th best defense, and 11th best scoring attack. And maybe even more important, they head to San Diego healthy. Leading the 6th straight Iowa Bowl charge will be senior quarterback Mark Blassie, who, despite injury, ended the year as the nation's 5th best passer. During the season, even with a bad shoulder, he completed over 61% of his passing attempts. His favorite target is also the Hawkeyes' leading ground gainer and senior running back Rick Bayless. Bayless, who began his Iowa career as a walk-on, this season became only the 3rd runner in Iowa history to gain 1,000 yards rushing in a single season. Senior wide receiver Jim Morrow is Iowa's bread-and-butter pass catcher. He ended the campaign as the team's leader in reception yardage and touchdowns. But the game-breaking receiver is senior speedster Quinn Early. His 93-yard touchdown reception was the longest in the Big Ten this season. Defensively, Iowa is strong, led by All-American defensive tackle senior Jeff Drost. Drost missed most of the season due to injury. But when he's healthy, which he now is, he is extremely disruptive to the opponent's offense. If San Diego State's success in 1986 can be summed up with one word, that one word is passive. And the man who pulls the trigger on the 10th best passing attack of the nation is junior quarterback Todd Santos. Santos, who has already rewritten just about every passing record in the Aztecs books, throws a lot, and throws to any player who remotely looks like an eligible receiver. In this one, Santos will have to hope that his offensive line gives him enough time to launch.
When it comes to our plus-minus department, here's how we see it. In terms of passing, we like Iowa here, even though it is the strong suit of San Diego State. Iowa also gets our nod when it comes to rushing. In terms of defense, it's Iowa. Place kicking, the Hawkeyes and Rob Houtland. Our pick of winning by a lot is Iowa. Every year it seems like there's a great deal of discussion about instituting some type of playoff system to establish a true national champion in college football. A scenario that I think would really hurt the bowl situation. And so does the president of ABC Sports, Dennis Swanson.
Well, I've suggested some caution in that area. You know, it looks simple to set up a playoff and all, but these bowl games are a part of the New Year's Day tradition. They involve communities, parades. There are millions of dollars at stake. You know, the bowl structure produces a tremendous amount of revenue in the present circumstances, and I don't think you can just walk away from that real easily.
Ketchup is the funnest ketchup in the land.
How do you know?
A little mouse told me. Mickey!
Hey, Mickey!
Donald, Minnie!
Hunt's ketchup squeezes out so thick and tastes so good, it's unbeatable. No wonder Hunt's is the official ketchup of Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Hunt's ketchup, it's the perfect taste for the perfect place.
What's your mom fixing for dinner? Bet it's something good for us. Liver and onion? Brussels sprouts? Sandwich!
natural manwich, thick with tomatoes, bell peppers, and onions. Just add it to fresh ground beef, and you have a quick, nutritious meal they'll love every time.
You can feed them right and give them something they like. Just brown some ground beef and have a manwich.
If you made hamburger patties the way most places make hamburger patties, you'd discover your thick, meaty burgers were suddenly dry, flat, and lifeless. So at Hardee's, we developed a way to make our patties gently, so they cook up thicker, full of natural juices. It's a complicated machine, but we can give you an idea of the principle it's based on. The new quarter-pound burgers from Hardee's, a little closer to home.
We like to see you smile. This season's so special. Your dreams can come true. That's why we're here for you. Hooks likes to see you smile. You can depend on us for feeling good feelings, for good times to share. Hooks likes to see you smile. We like to see you smile.
Our bowl preview now takes aim at the All-American Bowl, where this go-around it's going to be Florida State and the Hoosiers of Indiana. As for Florida State, they come in with a 6-4-1 record, with most of those victories being against weaker teams. And the same can be said for Indiana. The Hoosiers, in posting a 6-5 season, only defeated one team with a winning record, and that was 6-5 Michigan State. In terms of a common opponent, each team played Michigan and lost. It was Indiana losing by 24 at home, and the Seminoles lost by 2, but at Michigan.
On December 31st in Birmingham, Alabama, it will be Indiana and Florida State in the 10th annual All-American Bowl. The Seminoles will present the Hoosiers with a fairly balanced offensive attack. Junior quarterback Danny McManus has had to overcome concussion injuries to win back his starting job. In '85, he was literally knocked out twice, bringing to an end what looked to be a great season. This campaign, he has split time with Chip Ferguson, but on game day, he will be the Florida State starter. McManus is a good percentage passer, but has yet to prove he is a long ball threat. Florida State has two good running backs. One is sophomore Victor Floyd, who led the Seminoles in rushing this season with 654 yards, and also in rushing touchdowns with 6. His backfield partner is freshman Sammy Smith. Smith, who gained only 43 yards less this season than Floyd, averaged almost 6 yards per attempt. At 6'2" and 219, he's a great-looking freshman. Indiana also has a promising freshman running back named Anthony Thompson. In his first start of the year, which was the 8th game of the season, he ran for 207 yards. Despite missing most of the campaign due to a preseason injury, Thompson still wound up being the 3rd best rusher in the Big Ten when it came to conference competition. Defensively, Indiana will feature 2 premier performers. The first is outside linebacker Van Waiters, a senior who has 1 year of eligibility left. In '86, Waiters led the Big Ten in quarterback sacks and tackles for loss. The other big play artist is free safety Alex Green. One of the reasons Indiana is in a postseason bowl game is because of this senior's performance against Michigan State. In a must-win game for the Hoosiers, he intercepted 1 pass and returned it for a touchdown. Then, with the Spartans driving for the win, he picked off his 2nd pass of the game to preserve the victory.
As we check out our crystal ball, here's how the plus-minus departments stack up. In terms of passing, it's Florida State. Rushing, again, the Seminoles, because 2 good backs might be better than 1. Defensively, Florida State, but not by much. Place kicking, a check for Indiana. Our pick to win it is Florida State. We've now worked our way to the Cotton Bowl, and this should be a great game. It's going to be the champion of the Southwest Conference, Texas A&M, taking on the co-champion of the Big Ten, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State comes in with a 9-3 record. They began the campaign slow, but finished extremely strong. And as for Texas A&M, the Aggies have been consistently good the entire season. They lost the opener at LSU, and then they were upset by Arkansas by 4 points. This might be the most competitive game played on New Year's Day.
The thing that I really feel for them is that they knew that it was a lot tougher to repeat as champion than it is to get there.
A statement by Texas A&M's head football coach Jackie Sherrill, one that has been echoed by many, as the repeat champions of the Southwest Conference will host the Big Ten's co-champion Ohio State Buckeyes. The event, the 50th annual Cotton Bowl. The date, New Year's Day, and the site will be in Dallas, Texas. This should prove to be a great matchup, pitting the nation's third best offense against one of the premier defenses in the country. The Aggies of A&M enter this one with the Southwest Conference's leading passer and rusher. But A&M takes to the air. It's at the direction of junior quarterback Kevin Murray, the most prolific passer in Aggie history. This season, Murray threw for 17 touchdowns and averaged approximately 225 passing yards per game. The one element that separates A&M's passing attack from many is that its most effective weapon has been its tight end, senior Rod Bernstein. Bernstein, the 9th leading receiver in the nation, this year led the Southwest Conference in passes caught while picking up over 700 yards in receptions. Murray's other favorite target is junior running back Keith Woodside. Woodside, who averages almost 6 yards per rushing attempt, was also on the receiving end of 52 passes, including 5 for touchdowns. Unlike many great passing teams, the Aggies are not one-dimensional, thanks to senior running back Roger Vick. Vick, the Southwest Conference's leading ground gainer, just missed a 1,000-yard season. In '86, he averaged 96 yards of rushing per game while scoring 10 touchdowns. Yet as good as the Aggies are on offense, Ohio State is every bit as good on defense. The spirit of the Buckeye defense is junior linebacker Chris Spielman. In 1986, Spielman was the Big Ten's leading tackler from the first week of the season on, as he accounted for 194 tackles, including 29 against Michigan. Junior outside linebacker Eric Kumaro is another all-conference performer that makes Ohio State a tough team to score on. Kumaro, a converted quarterback, led the Buckeyes